Live now. I am Zero, everyone's hero. And this is Ryle.
Hello.
And we are here to show you extremely cringe content. And when I say extremely, that's actually an understatement. It's so cringe that I just couldn't stop laughing the first time I looked at it. And without further ado, because I'm not going to waste your time with introductions and telling you to like or whatever. We're just going to get in there. Oh, and we have a new joiner. It is the myth, the legend, the bearded man, the king.
Hi, Myth.
Hello.
Are you ready?
I am.
We are doing
So am I.
The Rising Sun. Now, before we start, The Rising Sun is a Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire fan fiction by a Dirk and Full of Airs. And before we started, we're simply just gonna read some of the tags here. Just to make you understand what kind of story this will be. So we have badass motherfucker Jon Snow. This one's obvious, unless you don't actually watch the thing. That means two characters, Rhaegar and Lyanna, get together and make Jon, which means he's the prince. This one, puberty hit Jon hard in a good way. You'll see what this means once we get to it. It's very I don't actually have words for it. You'll see.
Yep, something to look forward to.
Self-discovery. Eventual relationships, romance, jealousy. And also probably a crack fic. I mean, yeah, for sure. Wolf's Blood Jon, that means he's a rebel. Not for Catelyn fans. Are there Catelyn fans, though? No.
Probably.
Sassy Jon Snow.
Lucifer says no words.
No words. Means they can't hear me?
I assume that's what it means.
I'm assuming he can't hear me, but I mean, I know he can hear me. Because I've tried it before. And I can see the thing around my name move.
Yeah, it also... I can hear you, and it worked on the test stream, so...
Yep. So I feel we're being pranked. Oh, okay. He was repeating what I said. Never mind. Also, look at this thing. Isn't it amazing, this streaming option? You can just show what
Totally.
people are saying. Well, thank you. Jon becomes very efficient with weaponry. Like God tier. These are two tags. AU, obviously. Yeah, you know, this is Game of Thrones. Slow burn for sure. Like nothing ever happens. Fluff and humor. Out of character Jon Snow. Hell yeah. And dark Jon Snow also. Hell yeah. Yeah, we figured it's Dylan. I mean, who else would name themselves Lucifer aside from you, Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan.
All right. The Rising Sun. Summary. A secret hidden right under their noses. A young Jon Snow realizes his worth in the world and vows to make something of himself. People always did wonder what unknowns existed west of Westeros. Notes. Run-of-the-mill Robert's Rebellion prologue with tweaks and changes to suit the story. How is a rebellion run-of-the-mill? You ever had a run-of-the-mill fight to just take back your land? I mean, no.
I think the main word is prologue.
I know, but my first time ever writing fan fiction. I know, buddy. Just wanted to write a somewhat story, okay, based on the wild ideas that have been running through my head. Don't expect a polished masterpiece with a deep plot line. Just expect random servings of malcrack and silly nonsensical dialogue. Hey, he delivers.
He delivers very much.
But he delivers. Yeah.
He goes for it. It doesn't mean I can't make fun of it though. I like this story. Like it's I don't like it that that it's a good story. I like it that it's a very dumb story.
It's enjoyably dumb.
Yes. Relationship tags will be updated only when they occur in the story. Game of Thrones off-season can conjure up some mad scenarios. Don't they always? Especially after season 8 when I was losing my mind over that crap.
Remember, Myth, when you thought this was a good fan fiction after season 8?
Season 8 made me think this was good.
God damn. Look, season 8 is very special. Like I don't. You remember all the fans trying to defend it? That was some very interesting logic there. Like, so what if they have a cat? What was it? A Starbucks coffee on set? No, it doesn't matter. Okay. Hope you find my rambling is entertaining. Have fun reading it, sure, and don't get angry if it's not up to your standards. Just move on if that's the case. Different strokes for different folks, and all that. No upload schedule, no real time. Okay, by the time season 8, I'm sorry, Dirk. I'm very sorry. You do not own it. Oh yeah, obviously.
Check out when he last updated. I mean, I guess this is an important information for everyone watching.
Oh no.
Almost a year ago.
Yeah, he lost his touch.
But he wrote enough, so I mean, how many people write over 300k words of such a fan fiction?
Okay, like I was gonna be like, I write over 300k words, but I mean, you said such a fan fiction, and I started hesitating.
Yep.
And yeah, Dylan, people are still defending it even now. It's ridiculous. Chapter 1. Prologue. The rebellion was over, but at great costs throughout the entire realm. The major houses, the minor houses, the small folk, and even the land itself. King Ares the Second Targaryen, or Ares Targaryen the Second? Yeah, more commonly referred to as the Mad King, had been removed from power by force, and the realm was about to begin its road to recovery. Even with the late Robert Baratheon's attempt at getting revenge and justice for his assumed kidnapped betrothed, House Targaryen remained the ruling family of the Seven Kingdoms. King Rhaegar Targaryen, first of his name, had been crowned shortly after his father's death, along with his queen Elia Martell Targaryen. Yeah, because you have to specify that in parentheses. Never mind. But both monarchs had hoped for a third to be crowned on that day alongside them. Yes, the land took a beating, Dylan. I'm sad. I just need a moment of silence for the land. I'm sorry, land.
Press F in the chat for the land.
Yes.
F.
F in the chat. Say F. No. I must be serious here. We are here for serious business, guys, okay?
I mean, even the author acknowledges it's probably a crack fix, so we might as well crack up.
Lyanna Stark was the breath of fresh air that their stagnant marriage had needed. Stagnant marriage? Both Rhaegar and Elia were good friends. Oh no, but romantically indifferent toward each other, which was not helped by the fact that the Maesters had advised for Elia to not birth any more children after the struggles of birthing her first child, Rhaenys, and the expected problems they predicted would occur when birthing her second, Aegon, with the latter, two T's, buddy, with the latter almost killing her at the tourney of Harrenhal, 1L. Yeah, I know. I'm very nitpicky. Both Rhaegar and his newly announced pregnant wife Elia, along with their appointed Kingsguard for the day, Sir Arthur Dane, our best man, and Sir Barristan Selmy, the old guy who is second best man, had witnessed, without her knowledge. Lyanna chased off a group of Riverland squires with nothing but a stick and her wolf-blooded bark after she caught them beating down one of her father's bannermen. In case you didn't know, the bannerman is Howland Reed. Lyanna.
Can we appreciate that this sentence takes 4 lines?
Dude, I tried to ignore it. I tried to ignore this whole monstrosity here. Like, oh my god. Like, every time I would reach an actual comma, I would think like, I get a chance to take a break here, but nope, the sentence just keeps going on. It just keeps it's a gift that keeps on giving. And just as soon as you're done with that, there's this next. Like just back to back.
Yeah, the entire paragraph is 2 sentences. But the amazing thing is afterwards it's not as long. So the sentences get shorter from the next chapter onward.
And also, yes,
you learn.
They don't have best men in the Song of Ice and Fire. You're right. They do not have best men there. But I mean, you'll see as we keep going. You'll see. It gets worse. And yes, they don't hyphenate. But where were we here? Yes. Lyanna would later go on to procure a mismatched set of armor and enter the lists with only one task in mind. Unhorse the knight, whose squires were responsible for the beating of her now good friend Howland Reed, her father's bannerman. She was dubbed the Knight of the Laughing Tree, and would succeed in her task, demanding that the fallen knights chastise their squires in order to ransom back their horses and armor. Shortly after, Lyanna would sneak away to remove her armor, but would find that she had been followed by none. Just ignore it.
Listening you there.
Zero is everyone's hero, but not this particular person's hero. Then the Crown Prince himself, Rhaegar, and his sworn sword, Sir Arthur Dane. Oh. I'm sorry, I got excited there. Rhaegar and Elia had a pretty good idea on the identity of the Mystery Knight. So when the forever paranoid king had claimed and was wholeheartedly convinced that the Mystery Knight was an enemy, Rhaegar, on the advice of Elia, had announced to his father that he would attempt to find this knight for him alongside Sir Arthur, and would return with them if he was successful. Obviously, Rhaegar and Elia just wanted to make sure nothing would happen to Lyanna, but also wanted to meet this beautiful northern soul to hopefully get the ball rolling. Let's get the ball rolling here on Rhaegar and Elia's brand new plan. Okay, brand new is fine because you brand animals and that's an old concept ish. But getting the ball rolling. And yes, this is indeed an info dump here, Dylan. I'm sorry, but this is special.
Dylan, you don't even know the half of it yet. Just wait.
But I mean, this is beautiful in its own way. In its own way, they get the ball rolling. The brand new things. It's beautiful. It brings a tear to your eye if you're that sort of person. Let's keep going. UC. This is remind me from of SAO abridged for UC. Every time I see that,
right?
From the moment the pair had seen Lyanna's protectiveness toward the vulnerable. He's referring to Howland Reed, her bannerman. That was like her father's bannerman. That guy here, the vulnerable. The love she showed towards her family and friends, the aura of freedom she seemed to radiate whenever they saw her smiling, whilst caring or riding her mare, the happy tears she would shed when she heard Rhaegar's harp, her strength and sheer devotion to justice when knocking a grown man off his horse, and her overall wild beauty had left both monarchs smitten. See where this is going. Also, another four-line sentence here, but let's keep going. And with both of their feelings towards the northern beauty being mutual, they both decided to try and revive their relationship by proposing an addition to their marriage bed that not only helped with creating more heirs, thus taking the pressure off of Elia, but also introducing a beautiful soul into their lives that they were both slowly but surely starting to fall for. Well, creating more heirs out of another woman is kind of like saying you want the kingdom to burn.
I mean, what happened the last time with Blackfire?
Yeah, like this is the like he's recreate. Okay, it's a crack fic, but I mean, he should like realize that they're not actually gonna get along, are they? I hope he realizes
Realistically,
this.
not.
But
I mean, he assumes everyone will get along.
Dylan, you're still correct. It is still better than season 8.
yeah, that's true.
That's a low bar to cross.
Look, man, we need anything we can get at this point. It's a sad state of affairs. But wait, aren't they gonna make a new HBO series or whatever?
Yeah, the House of the Dragon. I'm pretty sure it's following Aegon's conquest, or is it going to be the Blackfire Rebellion or the Dance of Dragons?
I mean, both are. I don't know. I might watch one
I'll give it a shot, regardless.
as long as the showrunners are not Dumb and Dumber.
It's not. It's not Dan and Dave. Thank
All right.
God.
I mean, yes. I like how they just threw in the season and then they had a Star Wars thing get going, and then after the season came out, everybody just dropped them. Like, what did you think was gonna happen if you don't like honor your agreements?
Yep.
Moving on. They had come to the conclusion that they wanted her and they wanted her. Okay. And the plan was to simply make her want them. Mind control, I like it. It began when Rhaegar and Arthur discovered her removing her armor. The snap of a twig. Wait. I did the sound effect. That means I'm pretty good.
Yep.
And yeah, okay, it follows the whole Targaryen. So basically, it's fire and blood in the shape of a TV show. Dylan.
Ah,
Yep.
Okay. Who goes there? Lyanna spoke out. Should I do a female voice? No, this is probably no. Lyanna spoke out. Just me and my sworn shadow, milady. Like, why do I feel like he's wearing a fedora while he's saying this? Rhaegar japed as Arthur rolled his eyes. Lyanna's eyes widened. Your Grace, I heard your father had made me a wanted man. Are you here to turn me in? What is this conversation? She tried to make light of the situation, but she was already trying to conjure up an escape plan.
Bit late for that.
I would also try to conjure up an escape plan if a random if someone in power just shows up out of nowhere and starts acting like he's a fedora wearing minion having. Oh yeah, this is terrible.
And we know he wants to have a harem with her, so yeah.
Yes.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah, let's I was trying not to dwell on that, but thank you for that. You're a good friend.
You're welcome.
Rhaegar could already see she was spooked and looking for an out. But he had to take control of the situation and hope their plan hadn't been ruined before they'd even begun. Oh, no shit, buddy. You just show up out of nowhere and as she's trying to escape a situation and you're like, Hey, bud, you just start early. It's like scaring defenseless goats into fainting. All right, you're right there, Dylan. Two women are not a harem, but I mean, you know, it's one short. Just let it slide, buddy.
I mean, how long do you think it will take until he's bored of both of them and wants to add a third one to liven up the relationship again?
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like the entire
Especially
reason
with
they're
how
really,
much Liana struggled birthing John.
yeah, like he would have gotten number 3. Probably takes Catelyn away from Ned or something. Ned Stark, the amazing man. We're not at that point yet. We're not gonna start saying it. Elia would kill him. No, I'm not here to hand you in, I'm afraid. I'm actually looking for a treasonous man who my father has claimed to be his greatest enemy. You haven't seen him come by this way, have you? So bad. That earned him a chuckle from the lady, and he could already see some of the tension leave her body. What about him? Nodding at, well, what about him? See, this is important. Being able to emphasize things in conversations. What about him? Nodding at Sir Arthur. Is he gonna turn me in? He is Kingsguard after all. The job description is in the name. I mean, the name is to guard the king, not to capture random criminals, is it? So, job description of doing that isn't in the name.
Also, he basically is already not doing his job. I mean, he's with
Yeah,
the prince, not with the king.
yep, pretty much. You're a prince guard, a royal guard. You know, like in Devil May Cry, royal guard kill things. Devil May Cry is a good game. No,
No.
okay, never mind. Unfortunately for my father, Sir Arthur here is my sworn shadow, and unfortunately for Sir Arthur, shadows aren't known for their power of speech or capturing enemies of the crown. Your secrets will never leave his lips, even if he tried. Rhaegar japed, receiving a look from Arthur, who's trying not to give Rhaegar the credit of seeing him grin. Yeah, grin, but don't speak.
Yeah.
You don't have the right, Sir Arthur Dane. I
Shut
used to
up.
like you, but now you must be quiet.
Forever.
Yes, he is the sworn shadow who must not speak. Sworn shadows, that's what their job is. Not speaking. Oh, okay. Calm down, Lyanna. Bit of a shit Kingsguard, aren't you then? Lyanna boldly replied, earning a stunned look from Arthur. Yeah, get fucked, Arthur. And Rhaegar with the ladder, trying and failing not to grin at her reply. Yeah, Arthur, you just got wrecked.
Honey.
You got wrecked by a child. How does it feel? Well, that's look. You're lucky I'm a shadow. Yes, that's a very very good reply there, Arthur. You probably should have just stayed quiet. Arthur replied, completely caught off guard by her response.
Arthur shouldn't reply. He's supposed to be silent.
I know. Like he had something good going. You were just smiling at her, just displaying superiority by not rising to the bait. But you got baited anyway. You fell for it, buddy. I'm sorry. There's no coming back. There's no coming back. You were a good man, but no longer.
Too bad.
You're right. They really aren't known for their power of speech, Lyanna replied, as she suddenly admired the dashing smile the prince was currently blessing her with. Huh. With that, Sir Arthur huffed and looked away. Rhaegar burst out laughing, and Lyanna began to giggle. It was one of the loveliest sounds Rhaegar had ever heard. They carried on with their conversation, with Arthur contributing from time to time. No, don't contribute. You're digging your hole deeper, buddy. Speaking about what they've been up to at the tourney, what their friends and family are like, what their homes are like, and what their plans are for the future. That's where the conversation took a bitter turn for Lyanna. My father has decided to betroth me to an oaf of a drunk and a whoremonger. A man I have no plans on marrying, Lyanna spoke, shaking her head. He can't marry me off to that Baratheon idiot if he can't find me, can he now? Lyanna smirked. This could be a problem. He and Elia were unaware there was a betrothed in the way. How are you not aware of this? You're the prince of the realm. You should know all these things. You have a spy master and you have ravens coming in, and I'm sure Lord Stark of the time, not Ned, but like his dad.
Rickard.
I was gonna say dad, but then I said dead because it's actually true.
Well,
Like
Not yet.
Like they usually inform the king of such things, especially when he's paranoid. If this Baratheon turned out to be his brash, ill-tempered cousin Robert, it could become an even bigger problem. What do you plan if your father forces you to marry him? I love my father, but if he thinks he can force me to marry that pig on the recommendation of my brother, then he'll have to deal with the consequences. I won't marry Robert just to become some trophy wife. What is this, the 80s? Of his, as he leaves me to run his household single-handedly as he whores himself out around the Seven Kingdoms. What is this sentence? As he leaves, okay. So she becomes the trophy wife as he leaves, but he leaves as he whores. All right. He's already got a
he's a
bastard.
very busy man.
I mean, when you're Robert Baratheon, everybody loves you, right? Yo, Robert's my favorite, one of my favorite characters. It's like ever since season 1, I saw him just like, I mean, he was only in season 1. Like ever since I saw him, and he's just like, he's basically talking shit to everyone, and I don't know, he's just a cool guy.
He is.
You know, except the part where he slaps Cersei, but I mean, she is evil anyway.
He kind of likes being king, but also hates it. So
Yeah,
kind of strange.
he likes the party, but doesn't like the responsibility. But yeah, he's already got a bastard. And if this is correct, she's referring to Mia Stone.
Yes.
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's more out there. Lyanna spoke passionately.
Because that adverb was necessary.
Yes. People with adverbs in fan fiction and some general fictions, like you could have just said like her face scrunched up in frustration and whatever. But no, you just write one word and you just destroy the entire description.
Also, another aversion to set. I mean, go back. It says spoke, japed.
Oh yes.
Whatever. Smirked. Smirked isn't even a speech tag.
I like to smirk.
Replied.
Boldly replied. I like to reply boldly to people.
Actually, let's count the number of times it actually says said.
Sure. So, it was Robert. Big problem indeed, but what scared him more was how determined she sounded about avoiding this marriage. You still haven't said what your plan is if you were forced by your father. He dreaded her answer. I'll leave it all behind. Whether I go into hiding here in Westeros, go east to Essos, or see what is west of Westeros. I've always wanted to go on an adventure. She smiled. I would rather sail into the unknown, high chance of death, than spend the rest of my life with that man. You go,
Foreshadowing.
Girl. You know, yep.
He's his mother's son.
That is such a you go, girl moment, though.
Right?
Rhaegar had believed every word she'd said, and she would go through with those plans. He had to act, and act fast for his, Elia's, and by the sound of it, Lyanna's sake. He informed her of his wife's wish to meet her and get to know her as well, and hoped he wasn't being too forward and scaring her away. But to his relief, she seemed to be genuinely interested in personally meeting his wife. Well, how else do you?
Genuinely. Also, really, she wants to be a free woman, and the first thing he thinks is,
Gonna work as marrying her, yes.
how can I keep a cap shot here?
Like I'm not sure. Like I want to be tied down, whatever. And then he's like, "You want to join my threesome? You want to be
For your own sake?
for your own sake? You want to join my threesome? Yeah. What a good man he is.
Not my sake at all. I would be like, I would have no motivation to do this otherwise.
He and Arthur had left after leaving an open invitation for Lyanna to speak with Elia, or both, whenever she wanted, stating all she had to do. See, I'm correcting it even as I'm reading it. Like in my mind, I'm correcting it and I'm speaking what I'm saying. You know what? I'm speaking what I'm thinking. I'm speaking my mind. That's what. Stating all she had to do was to let Sir Arthur or Sir Barristan know that she wished for a private audience with them. But I mean, how do you? He can't talk. He's not allowed. I get this old guy, this old man, the Barristan Selmy the Bold.
Was
But
he already old back then?
yeah.
Right.
But Sir Arthur the Quiet? No. Get out of here, Arthur. It hadn't taken long for Lyanna to take up that offer, and the three of them were enjoying sweets, fruits, and Dornish red, along with relaxed conversation, and even a bit of flirting between Elia and Lyanna that very night. The very first night they met, and she was like ready to bolt. He convinced her to meet his wife, start drinking wine together, Dornish red, relaxed conversation, and actual flirting.
How lucky she turned out to be bisexual just then.
Yeah, I mean, that's however strange fate is. I must say, it must have been something very controversial to get Arthur's tongue twisted, Lyanna. Yes, very. Elia smirked behind her goblet of red. Lady Lyanna here has a sharp tongue, which Arthur, unfortunately for him, the damned fool, found out about the hard way. Rhaegar smiled as he peeled his blood orange. I wonder what else that tongue can do. I was not ready. That is not light flirting. That is not a bit of flirting. That is straight. Okay, that is definitely. There are no mixed signals here, Chief. Elia mused as Lyanna blushed and Rhaegar fumbled with his orange. You'd be surprised, Lyanna returned as Elia grinned and Rhaegar tried not to combust. Oh no.
Oh
Let's
no.
see. Speech text smirked, smiled, mused, returned. Alright.
You know Rhaegar tried not to combust there? The prince?
Yeah, but that's not a speech tag.
I know, but he's trying not to combust. It's so cringe. I thought he was the prince who basically just everyone loves him and he's like blushing over. It was his idea to make the threesome and now he's basically shy.
He was not prepared for the Dornish approach.
Ah yes, the Dornish. Elia. This Elia muses things about Lyanna's tongue.
No, Arthur's tongue.
Now that is frightening. That is frightening, sir. Because he's supposed to be quiet.
It's always the quiet ones.
But now his tongue can twist and such things. No, I can't. I won't have it. No, Arthur must stay. I must stay a good person. I cannot.
All right.
And with that, their budding relationship started to slowly grow. All three started to enjoy their nightly meets, with each night becoming progressively flirtier than the last. Oh no. but keeping it innocent. How is it innocent to talk about what? Even though in their minds, all three wanted to push the boundaries with touches and kisses. That's it.
Wow.
Just touches and Rhaegar and I mean that's fairly
but
innocent.
But talking a big game.
Yeah, pretty much. Rhaegar and Elia knew they had to keep it innocent. They couldn't force this plan of theirs. It needed to be mutual between the three of them. So are they like grooming her here? Like this is what it sounds like. Like we can't force the situation. We just have to gradually convince her that she wants us. They also needed to consider a way to get Lyanna out of this betrothal she so vehemently hated the idea of.
How old is she again in this time?
She should be 15 or 16 or 14, one of them.
Somewhere in that range.
Like, she is not able to make her own decisions here.
And Rhaegar and Elia are in their 20s.
Yeah, like, she can't make informed decisions. That's the word I was looking for. So she's basically just being led around.
Wanna bet underage isn't a tag?
I mean, I think it is. It probably is. But maybe, yeah.
I meant this fiction isn't tagged as underage.
Oh, yeah, it probably isn't. But I mean, it's Game of Thrones, so you kind of expect it. Sort of.
True.
Yeah, that's true. But it should still be tagged.
We should probably add the disclaimer. We don't actually support this kind of thing. We are good people. Except Dylan, he's a horrible person. Just kidding. Kidding, buddy. Even outside the Discord, you don't escape the bullying. Alright, the next day was the last day of the tourney. Rhaegar had successfully unhorsed man after man and earned his place in the final of the joust. Elia had managed to pull Rhaegar away for a few moments to tell him of her idea. You want me to what? Wouldn't this just incite tension and anger Elia? Rhaegar answered, worried that this plan of Elia's would come back to bite them. Yes. Yes, it would.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Rhaegar's actually being smart.
Yes, Rhaegar made good decision here. Good brain. Big brain Rhaegar.
No, he hasn't made a decision. He just objected.
He made good logic, at least. He tried. Look, Dylan.
He tried.
Come on, Dylan. We must make fun of you, Dylan. No crying. Turn that frown upside down, buddy. We love you. Platonically, dude. Don't get ideas. Rhaegar. Tension. Insight. If you win, you can split the garland between me and Lyanna. I'll be smiling throughout the whole spectacle so nobody will see that I'm displeased of your actions. Blue roses are Lyanna's favorite, as we found out last night. She would love it. Yes, great idea. Elia pleaded with Rhaegar. She was confident this act would get the plan moving a little quicker.
This doesn't even make sense. She's not acting displeased, but she isn't displeased anyway, so she's acting normal.
Yes. Also, this entire plan was so that she can get a little bedtime with Lyanna. That's it.
Elia's getting impatient.
Yes, she wants some of that northern fruit. That's the word. And so, after a thrilling final tilt, I wish I could have seen it. Rhaegar managed to unhorse his good friend Sir Barristan Selmy, his good friend, to win the joust tournament and go on to crown both Elia and Lyanna as his queens of love and beauty. So which one? Okay, Elia is the queen of love and Lyanna is the queen of beauty. Okay? That's why. See, that's why. Elia must be ugly if he wants Lyanna to be in the group. Because one is the queen of love and the other is the queen of beauty. Elia.
Make a compelling argument.
Yes. Big brain Rhaegar should be a tag, said Dylan. Yes, it really should be. Like Galaxy Brain. Oh,
Well,
we're not even halfway through this. Like we still got a long way to go for the first chapter.
for the prologue, this isn't the first chapter.
Oh yeah, you're right. This isn't the first chapter. Wow, thank you. Elia and Lyanna's reactions were as predicted, both smiling towards Rhaegar as he placed the two crowns on each of their laps. But what wasn't expected was the deathly silence that the rest of the onlookers were exhibiting, which was broken when Robert Baratheon decided to down his wine, launch his goblet into the crowd, and storm off, muttering to himself, "Yeah, screw that Robert, that evil man, that evil, evil man who just got his fiance taken from him in the middle in plain public view." Well, disrespected. How did they not expect this? Did he like have a moment where he was having decent logic here, incite tension? He definitely expected this. All right, maybe no. Big brain Rhaegar should not be attacked, but this is not a big brain moment.
Rhaegar never had a big brain. I mean, he
He showed promise.
He did everything for a
Briefly.
prophecy he had no proof for,
Yeah, you're right.
and basically got the entire realm in flames. So
Yeah,
good
he really
job.
did destroy everything. Good job, Rhaegar.
Our hero, everyone. The prince that was promised.
Yes. Was Robert a drunk back then? I mean, he did drink a lot, but he wasn't. Yeah, he was a drunk even back then. But the issue was when he became king, he just simply stopped
Limiting himself.
Yeah, he stopped limiting himself, but also he stopped exercising and such. That's why he
why he
went
got
all
fat.
the way. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He became girthy. He became a big man. Well, even bigger
Fat.
man. Look, man, I'm gonna be a nice guy. All right? I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm being a kind individual.
He said it himself.
You're right. He does say it himself. And also his best friend, Eddard Stark, the Quiet Wolf.
The honest beloved brother.
Not yet. We're not at the moment. Unfortunately, after that, Lyanna was kept away from both Rhaegar and Elia by her brothers, and they didn't get to talk to each other for the rest of the journey. Aw, they didn't get to flirt with each other anymore. In the end, both Rhaegar and Elia returned to Dragonstone to wait out the birth of their second child, and Lyanna returned to Winterfell to plan out her escape from her betrothal. To be honest, Lyanna didn't have to think hard on a plan and decided that she would use the wedding of her brother, Brandon, to Catelyn Tully at Riverrun as a distraction to collect supplies, ride down the river road, and fork off to Maidenpool, where she would find a ship and leave her pets. Oh my god, this entire thing tires me out. She wasn't naive enough to think her new life would be easy, but it's sure as shit would be better than marrying that cunt. How dare you, Robert Baratheon? How dare you be such a cunt?
Yes. Life on the road is so much better than in a castle, even if your husband is cheating on you.
Yes. When you don't have toilets or anything, and you just gotta like head to the woods and squat somewhere to do your business.
In a time where women aren't treated as equally.
Like that's an understatement right there, Ryle. Like I don't. Rhaegar and Elia, meanwhile, had discussed how they could get back in touch with Lyanna, but keep it discreet, as the whole realm was watching Rhaegar after his stun at the tourney. Oh yeah, what'd you think was gonna happen? Many moons passed. Elia had finally given birth to his heir, who they named Aegon, but not without problems. The Maesters were right. Elia nearly died, and they both agreed they wouldn't risk a third, as it wasn't worth losing both mother and child. Both Rhaegar and Elia were becoming more affectionate with each other with every moon that passed, with Elia surviving her ordeal, and both of them still determined to go through with their plan to introduce Lyanna into their marriage. There was an excitement between them of what their future would bring. Also, yeah, like Diana can't do anything in Essos. She has no skills. She didn't even read up on anything.
Good future reference. She hasn't even read books about fishing.
God damn it. Such a good moment there. Finally, Rhaegar and Elia would catch a break when word got out that Brandon Stark would be marrying Catelyn Tully at Riverrun and that Lyanna would be traveling with his host. Both of them decided that it would be best for Rhaegar to travel up to just outside Riverrun, close to Harrenhal, 1L buddy, and send a trusted envoy to sneak into the Riverrun and hand the note personally to Lyanna instead of using a raven, which they did not trust at the time. That note gets in the wrong hands, and this whole plan is over. This part of the sentence here, this like someone's thought process injected into narration, but whatever.
Yep.
So, after all the planning, Rhaegar decided him, Sir Arthur, the Quiet, and a loyal servant that they had hand chosen to sneak into Riverrun would ride up to Harrenhal, 1L, send the envoy in, and wait to see if Lyanna would accept his and Elia's proposal.
A loyal servant who's so unimportant you don't even get the name.
Yeah, he doesn't. It's just a loyal servant. It's like red shirts in Star Trek, the original.
Yeah,
not
but
the
this
new
is
ones.
this is an important mission. This isn't like
No, you don't need names. In this life, we don't receive names for our missions, but in death, we do. Probably not.
this is such a stupid plan, says Dylan, and we agree.
Look, it is not our place to judge the merits of a plan, but only to simply experience it firsthand. Lyanna would receive the note 4 days before her brother's wedding. Would receive past 10, okay, and agreed to Rhaegar and Elia's proposal. She thought about them both. They were both beautiful in their own way. Rhaegar's mesmerizing violet eyes. Oh my god. Elia's dark eyes that were almost black. Rhaegar's locks, the color of the stars. Guys, I'm getting excited. Elia's coal black tresses. Use the word tresses.
What does tresses mean?
I mean, it's a way to describe hair, like long hair.
Oh, I see.
Both their caring attitude to some northern girl's personal problems, a girl they had never met before and had accepted into their circle of friends with open arms, a girl they had put their necks on the line by exhibiting a public show of affection in front of the entire realm just because they like her and because she likes blue roses.
Yeah, and no thoughts about her. Like it's all innocent.
This is all innocent here. Also, prologues are not supposed to be this long, said Dylan. Yes, you are right. Prologues
We
are
agree.
indeed not supposed to be this long. When I write a prologue, it's usually like 1,500 to 2,000 words, and it usually just gets to the point because he wrote at the start what happens, and then he's writing it again in detail what's happening.
And then
Right.
again, I mean, we already know they want to have a threesome, but it's mentioned like the fourth time in this sentence alone.
It really is. Also, next on the line, isn't this a guillotine reference?
Yes.
Or is it a beheading reference with axes?
I would have to look up the.
We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
This entire I just get more and more serious as I say. Like a girl they had put their necks on the line for. It's amazing. And now they were offering her an out and into their open arms in the form of a polygamous marriage. She must have stared at that note for half an hour and came to the conclusion that yes, she could actually see herself being happy, being married to them both. She would have to put up with the with court, but it could be entertaining if she was doing it alongside Elia. You're definitely gonna be doing it. Rhaegar can rule, whilst her and Elia had fun. He's always wanted to visit Dorne. I fully support this fun. I'd like to see this. I'm ready. Well, no, okay. Wait until she's old enough, but I'll be ready when they're both ready for it.
Spoiler, we never will.
No. She's always wanted to visit Dorne and imagined Elia would entertain her wishes. She'd also get to share their bed. And that conjured up all types of images in her mind's eye that caused her to blush. I'd blush too, lady.
I love how she had more thoughts about Elia than Rhaegar.
Yeah, like who cares about... I mean, look, Rhaegar might have mesmerizing violet eyes. He might have locks the colors of the stars. But Elia, she has dark eyes that are almost black. Her coal-black tresses. She has a caring attitude. And
It's both carrying attitudes, I mean.
And she also routinely muses about what her tongue can do. Alright? Look. Hey. That's it. I don't make the rules.
Yes, Dylan, that's exactly how a queen works.
Yes. The queen just hangs around and has fun while the man does all the work. That's how a queen works. Surely her father would agree to the marriage. Yes, it's a bit unconventional to say the least. Yeah, okay, that's an understatement. But her daughter would be a queen of the seven. Her daughter? You mean his daughter? A queen of the seven kingdoms, and not the Lady of Storm's End. But what use is her being the queen of the seven kingdoms if her son is not the heir to the throne? Robert would just have to get over it. Probably in between the legs of some whore, no doubt. It still amazed her that her sweet brother Ned, had vouched for that man. It's beginning. She would of course have to inform her father of her choice via Raven. Whether he consents to it or not is none of her concern. If he was willing to sell his only daughter off for some political gain with no interest in her wishes or happiness, then she was willing to take charge of her own life, whether she hurt his feelings or not. Alright, okay. This is happening in this particular story. This is happening while she attends Brandon Stark's marriage to Catelyn Tully, which I'm 100% sure he doesn't want, and is doing just because his dad told him.
Indeed.
And now she's acting like she's better than he is.
Well, that's true in this fanfic, as we will see later.
Not that unconventional when it comes to Targaryen. Yeah, you're right. It's not that unconventional, but this is at the period of time where Targaryen stopped with the polygamy, and they don't have the dragons to enforce it.
Happened for about 100 years.
Yeah, and they don't have the dragons to enforce it anyway. So take that as you will. Where were we? Yes, here. So, with all that, she decided to go through with it. She gathered her belongings, handed off her note for her father to be sent via Raven. Handed off her note to who? And left in the dead of night to meet up with Rhaegar and Arthur, where the three of them met up with Sir Barristan, who had escorted Septon Maynard from King's Landing at Rhaegar and Elia's request. Wow.
Wait, is Sir Barristan the third person, or is the third person the one she handed the note to? That was never mentioned.
Let's reread this. Got to go through with it. She gathered her belongings, okay? Handed off the note for her father to be sent via Raven, so it's probably a random person that will never be named.
Probably the same guy that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the loyal servant.
Yeah.
With Rhaegar and Arthur, where the three of them, okay, so yeah, the servant's gone now, met up with Sir Barristan, who had escorted Septon May. Why do we have like a party going here? Like, just wait for them somewhere else. From King's Landing at Rhaegar and Elia's request, the group would then travel to the Isle of Faces to perform the wedding ceremony. and then go on to Dragonstone to meet up with Elia and their children.
Isn't the Isle of Faces where the werewolves are?
Yes.
Why would the Septon go there?
You know, that's a good question. Why
Very
would a
good
Septon?
question.
Why would a Septon go to the Werewolves without just setting them on fire? They hate those things. Dylan. Selmy would not support this. You're right, he won't support this, but he does obey. Also, I like how Rhaegar and Arthur are closer than Rhaegar and Barristan, even though Barristan was supposed to be closer.
Yeah.
But now they're boys, Rhaegar and Arthur. They're part of their own little group now. Little boy band.
They can join next in the marriage.
Oh, no. It's so terrible. Obviously, it had all gone wrong when Brandon Stark and a host of young nobles had come to their own conclusion and rode all the way to King's Landing to ban Rhaegar's head for abducting his sister. He and his host were subsequently imprisoned in the Black Cells by King Aerys, to nobody's surprise, with the king summoning their respective fathers for the crimes they had committed. Aerys would go on to execute the sons and fathers, leaving just Rickard and Brandon Stark alive, with Rickard demanding a trial. Fully expecting to be fighting a Kingsguard.
You were gone for a moment. I would reread the line.
Which part?
Aerys would go on to execute.
All right. Aerys would go on to execute the sons and fathers, leaving just Rickard and Brandon Stark alive, with Rickard demanding a trial by combat, as was his right. Fully expecting to be fighting a Kingsguard and not Aerys' actual champion, Fire. Rickard was suspended in the throne room of the Red Keep. A pyromancer lit a fire beneath Rickard, well, not just him. While he was dressed in his steel armor, Brandon, with a noose around his neck and a sword just out of his reach, was made to watch his father roast. And also smell. Trying to reach the sword to save his dying father, Brandon strangled himself to death.
I guess you could call that a sick burn.
Oh no.
Oh.
No, that took me off guard. I wasn't ready. It's so dry. So dryly delivered. What the fuck? Also, yes, Selmy obeys the king who he is sworn to, but there are no orders from the king, so he just has to obey whatever his son says. Aerys. Okay, when you have a possessive after a word that ends with S, you get rid of the extra S. Next step was to demand that the Lord of the Vale, Jon Arryn, in case you didn't know who the Lord of the Vale was, his name is Jon Arryn, send him the heads of his former wards, Eddard and Robert. Lord Arryn refused the order and instead called his banners, essentially starting a war. Yes, that's what calling your banners does. Rhaegar, Elia, and Lyanna blamed themselves for the start of the conflict, although they don't know how Brandon could have come to such a conclusion and make such a rash decision afterwards. Rickard must have received Lyanna's raven and known before the summons from King's Landing came through that Lyanna had left willfully with Rhaegar. So what had happened for everything to go so wrong? What the heck is this sentence?
Also, you know what went
Do they
wrong.
not realize how long it takes a raven to travel?
I mean, it also could
Brandon
have died
probably
at any
left.
point.
Brandon probably came to that conclusion as soon as Lyanna disappeared.
Also, they basically blame Brandon and Rickard here instead of
Themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, could this
The
prologue
prologue
not have
was
been condensed?
condensed
This is
in the first paragraph.
Yeah,
and then
it was.
expanded upon.
It was
Like-
condensed in the first paragraph, Dylan.
You missed that part. There was like maybe 5 lines of actual condensed prologue, and then it just came to this. This was all a misunderstanding at the highest order. And Lyanna's father and brother had paid with their lives because of it.
Why is father and brother capitalized here?
because they are now dead. And now that they're dead, you show them more respect by capitalizing the first letter of their designations.
Sure, but Kingsguard isn't capitalized.
Because nobody likes the Kingsguard. Look at Arthur. Like, who cares about Arthur? He should just shut up and stay in the corner, like a good shadow. Come on, man. Lyanna was heartbroken, to say the least, with the only thing managing to get a smile out of her being the news that she was with child. Hey, it's coming, the rising sun. Rhaegar and Elia were ecstatic with the news that there would be even more children than a new little family. The three of them discussed baby names, all the while trying to be strong for each other in these trying times. 2 moons would pass where Rhaegar would receive a summons from his father to come back to court, along with Elia and their 2 children, with the excuse of, I need them close to keep those dirty Dornish loyal. Fucking dirty Dornish. I hate those people. The Dornish.
I mean, Ares certainly did.
Yeah, he did. It's dirty Dornish. They're never loyal. Rhaegar and Elia decided it would be best and the safest for Lyanna to travel to a privately owned keep. I mean, aren't all keeps privately owned? In Dorne, named the Tower of Joy, where she would be guarded by 10 loyal soldiers from Dragonstone, along with her very own Kingsguard, Prince Lewin Martell, who had grown fond of Lyanna after getting over the shock of Rhaegar taking another wife, and seeing just how happy Lyanna made his niece. Pretty sure
How good he's immediately supportive after getting over his shock and not at all what's it called?
Character progression?
Losing face, being angry with his niece is just a second wife now.
No, I mean,
She's the first wife. Lyanna's the second wife.
There's no character progression here. People aren't allowed to have opinions and actual thoughts about anything. What do you think this is? This is Rising Sun there, buddy.
True.
Look how happy she makes his niece. Eventually, Rhaegar, Elia, and their 2 children, along with Sir Arthur and Sir Barristan, would arrive in King's Landing, where they would find out that Robert and his allies had been winning battle after battle, and that Rhaegar would soon be leaving to command the royal army. Rhaegar and Elia were relieved that they had gotten word of Lyanna's arrival at the tower, and that she would be safe to progress through her pregnancy. But they were also worried about Aerys and his paranoia and unpredictability, especially around Elia and the children, because Dornish, those dirty Dornish. With Rhaegar departing soon, anything could happen to them when they are gone. So Sir Barristan stood up to the task, and promised to protect Rhaegar's family, which they both happily accepted. 2 moons would pass, and with that, Rhaegar, along with Sir Arthur, Sir Gerald, and Sir Oswell, would march with the royal army toward the Trident. Rhaegar would call for an audience with Lord Robert Baratheon, Lord Eddard Stark, Lord Jon Arryn, and Lord Hoster Tully to try and come to an understanding and explain this whole misunderstanding. Nobody came, and so the Battle of the Trident would proceed as planned. Wait, no. Yeah, if you call for a parley or an audience, they have to come.
Yeah.
Especially Jon Arryn, as high as honor. Hoster Tully, what was it?
Family duty honor.
Family duty honor, and Eddard Stark, who was the ward of Jon Arryn in the Vale, and Robert Baratheon, who was the word of Jon Arryn in the Vale.
Well, okay, maybe Robert not, but Eddard Stark.
Look, it would be, the scene would go something like this. Robert would be like, "No, let's fucking kill every single one of them," and Eddard Stark would be like, "No, it's probably not a good idea, buddy," and he would be like, "No, we should definitely kill them." And Jon Arryn would be like, "Are you dumb? Have you not learned anything from what I've taught you?" And Tully would also jump in and just make fun of him too. Like, what are you thinking, boy?
And then Robert would be like, "Okay, bro." So.
I mean, it would fit with this story. Now, serious mode. It was a bloody battle, with both sides losing great numbers. But with a thrust in the armpit with one sword and a slash to the throat with the other, Sir Arthur Dane, the silenced, the quiet man, would end the life of the would-be usurper, Robert Baratheon. Yeah, he's obviously watched season 6, and subsequently we would cripple the command of the rebel troops and ultimately end the great battle. Soon after Rhaegar had Lord Stark, Aaron and Tully and all the other lesser lords bend the knee and swear fealty to him and not his father, stating to them that his plans to remove his father from power and ended his rule of tyranny. He also explained the entire situation involving Lyanna and her apparent abduction. You ever been abducted?
Yeah, reminder abduction means autopsy in German, and
Yes.
also it's also an old word in English, I think. So yeah, it's from Latin.
I remember when I used to abduct people, allegedly in a video game, and stated it all as being a misunderstanding that got way out of hand. The lords reluctantly accepted his terms, explanation, and his plan to take the capital, although Lord Stark was secretly not buying anything that came out of the Crown Prince's mouth about his sister. Rhaegar, along with the royal army, Eddard Stark, and his personal host, would go on to march up to the capital, where they would meet up with none other than a certain Tywin Lannister, who had tricked Aerys into opening the gates to the city, and proceeded to kill all of Aerys' loyalist guards and take control of the city for Rhaegar's arrival. When the host finally got to the Red Keep, they made a beeline for the throne room, where they would witness Sir Jaime Lannister knocking out the King of the Seven Kingdoms with his mailed fist. He can't kill him, and following that up by putting his sword through the back of an escaping pyromancer. With that, Rhaegar ordered for Aerys to be thrown into the black cells to await his execution, and sent Sir Gerald and Sir Oswell to retrieve Sir Barristan and his family.
Because kinslaying is suddenly in.
Yeah, kinslaying is completely fine. Oh, hey, cousin. My cousin will abduct me.
Oh no.
Oh no, I'm scared now. Rhaegar wasted no time and sent a raven to Lord Mace Tyrell, who was told to end the siege of Storm's End, and another raven to Stannis Baratheon. Stannis the man. Oh, he gets me excited. Too bad they did him dirty in season 5? Yeah, 5. Who was holding Storm's End, stating that his brother had fallen in battle, and all his allies had bent the knee, and that he should do the smart thing and follow suit. With that, Rhaegar got started on fixing King's Landing. You gotta fix those streets. Starting with the removal of all the wildfire caches hidden underground. With Rhaegar being occupied to the realm at that given moment, he decided to inform his good brother Lord Eddard of his sister's location in Dorne, with an order stamped with Rhaegar's personal wax stamp. Stamped with his wax stamp. Eddard Stark, along with the 6 companions. Oh, Eddard Stark and the 6 companions. This is a good band name. Howland Reed, Willem Dustin, Ethan Glover, Martin Cassell, Theobald, and Sir Mark Griswold. So
They all get mentioned, but spoiler warning, they won't matter at all.
It's a shame. It's a shame that the loyal servant didn't get a name, but these 6 do.
Well, they're all High Lords.
Yes,
the loyal servant was probably just a commoner.
Yeah, who cares about High Lords? Pieces of trash. Let's just get out of here, High Lords.
We're about to die anyway.
Okay, where were we? Griswold marched south to the so-called Tower of Joy. Everybody likes doing this. Quotations Tower of Joy to imply that it's actually not a fun place. I'm glad you're having fun, buddy.
We all are.
To retrieve his sister with the full intention of bringing her home to Winterfell and not King's Landing. The plan was simple. Arrive at this tower, kill the guards so there's no witnesses, burn the bodies, collect some of their ashes, retrieve Lyanna, send her north with his host, arrive at King's Landing alone with the errand of the sister's ashes and a bullshit excuse of a misunderstanding when questioned on why he had to fight the guard stationed at the tower. Holy crap, this plan is not simple. This plan is not simple. This plan has so many steps that can go wrong.
And the fact that Rhaegar has Lord Varys, who would very quickly find out that Lyanna was in Winterfell.
Yes. What am I even seeing here? Like, how many steps are there? 1, 2. Okay. That's the bullshit excuses. Step 3. Question on my own. Yeah. Like, it's a 3-step plan, but like, actually, no, it's not a 3. What am I saying? This starts here. Well, I'm stupid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-step plan with like kill the guards so there's no witnesses. You just easily kill all the guards and no issues there.
Yeah.
He would then return. Oh, the plan's not over. Sorry. He would then return. Like, this is the next part of the plan. Or home with his sister, where she would be kept away from the public eye, safe and surrounded by what little family she had left, especially kept from Rhaegar and the poisonous pit they like to call King's Landing.
Dum dum dum.
Dum dum dums.
Uh,
Eddard Stark, Lyanna's beloved big brother. He's keeping her safe.
Not yet.
He's keeping her safe from that poisonous pit they call King's Landing. As Eddard and his host approached the tower, they noticed 5 guards outside. These odds are okay with Ned.
weren't there 10 guards and a King's Guard?
I know. Like they put 10 guards. I think there were 2 King's guards. Well, we'll see.
Well, we are outside, so we are still people inside.
Oh yeah, you're right. These odds were okay with Ned, who dismounted in front of the guards and asked them the whereabouts of his sister, not even bothering to show them the sealed message Rhaegar had given them. Their reply riled Ned up, with them stating that she was under the care and guard of the royal family. With that, Ned unsheathed this sword and all hell broke loose.
Wouldn't it make more sense to show the letter and then stab them in the back?
Yep, I mean
that's not honorable, and he's the honorable Ned Stark.
This also isn't. The entire plan isn't honorable, so don't even start with that.
Look, we don't use logic here. This isn't. That's illegal.
It's honorable in the fact that it's a face-to-face fight.
Yeah, if he stabs them in the face when they're not expecting it.
Yeah, and what will happen in a few sentences, we all know. So let's get going.
The fight was bloody, but over rather quickly. All 5 Targaryen guards have been dealt with, but at the cost of Theo Bull and Martin Cassell's life. Well, so much for that. Like, those odds were okay, but 2 guys died. I mean, I'd hate to see what horrible odds are like. Yeah, see, like, some of you, like, Dylan even points it out.
We already died.
Like, these are okay odds? Like, what planet is it? Oh, yeah, it's Westeros. Never mind.
Those are pretty good odds in Westeros. Only 2 of your companions dying.
Unfortunately,
people die when they are killed.
Yep, people die when they are killed. Indeed, fate is a very special thing to watch for Ned and the survivors. 6 more guards would emerge from the tower, with one wearing the distinctive armor of the King's Guard. You're right, it was 1 King's Guard. Prince Lewin Martell, the guy who didn't initially accept Lyanna's addition to the marriage, that guy, he saw the mess that was left outside the tower and instantly engaged with combat with the first man he came across, who happened to be Ethan Glover. They traded blows with each other, but it was obvious that Prince Lewin was the better swordsman of the 2. Half a minute later, Ethan Glover had been defeated with a slash straight across his throat. I wish we could have seen this.
That's killed, not defeated.
Yeah, I like defeating people. It's nice, safe language.
Yeah.
You don't
PG-13.
PG-13 here. Even though this thing has like grooming and other such horrifying things. But yeah, Prince Lewin Moved on to Sir Mark Griswold, who's getting the upper hand on one of the Targaryen guards. With a sword through the chest, Sir Mark defeated the guard, but was taken by surprise by Prince Lewin, who claimed the upper hand from the get-go. Yeah, these are highborn people dying. So you have to say they get defeated. You don't say they die.
Yeah, Dylan.
Sir Mark never recovered, and with a misstep. What about Mr. Step? I'll keep going. I'm sorry. I apologize for that one. To avoid a strike that never came, lost his sword hand to Prince Lewin with an overarching strike. Prince Lewin put the man out of his misery by piercing his heart. Isn't he wearing armor?
I would assume so.
How do you pierce someone's heart with a sword when they're wearing armor? I mean, He's
pretty strong.
Yeah, but like, have you ever? Dylan can tell us. But like, if you stab something that's soft, obviously you're gonna pierce it. But if you stab something with armor, you need to put a lot of power in it, and pulling out the sword is even worse because it gets stuck. And they're in a actual
You
fight.
gotta go for one of the weak spots in the armor.
Yes, like an armpit, neck, face, eyes. Between the legs. Yeah, like between the back of the knee. That's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, the knees. A critical spot.
It has abduction. I mean, obduction. Cutting off limbs is not that easy. Yes, correct. Cutting off limbs is indeed not easy.
Maybe Prince Lewin has a Valyrian steel sword and we just don't know.
You know, it's a shame he doesn't have the superior material that we will find out about later. With one final strike, Ned defeated the last Targaryen guard. Oh my god, Ned is so strong. All 5 guards were dead at the cost of Lord Dustin, Sir Mark, and Ethan Glover, with only him and Howland left standing to face the last survivor, Prince Lewin Martell. The fight ensued between Lord Stark and Prince Lewin, with Ned telling Howland not to get involved between them. He's so honorable.
Yeah.
Prince Lewin heard this and fancied his chances a bit more. Unfortunately for Prince Lewin Martell, this was all just a bluff, with Howland maneuvering behind the king's guard with a dagger in hand. Oh no! Ned! You're supposed to be... you were the best of us!
You're supposed to be honorable!
What happened, Ned? What happened to you? My heart. It bleeds. Both Ned and Howland knew it was not the honorable thing to do. Yes, it wasn't. But they had to get Lyanna back at all costs. And with that, Howland buried the dagger in the back of the King's Guard neck, and Ned finished the rest. Oh no. As soon
I love how the description is just so bland.
Oh yeah, I finished the rest. Don't look him in the eye as the light leaves his eyes. Don't give any respect. Any last words? Whatever. Just kill him. And
I love how the author had to give the guards more men to make Ned and his group look better.
Oh yeah, like in the old one, they just got destroyed by 3 guys. Now they took out 11.
Yeah, they took out 10 guards and a king's guard.
Yeah, like they're so good, but not as good as someone else will meet.
Yeah.
As soon as Prince Lewin fell, Ned dropped the sword to the ground and all but sprinted up the stairs to the tower. You don't drop your sword. What if there are more guards you don't know about? Like, what are the chances that some dude is waiting behind the door, just like he pushed out the initial fight, but he was like, I'm gonna do my duty. I'm gonna do my redemption here. I'm gonna hide behind this door, and whoever comes in is gonna take a face full of mace. just smash him in there like a hammer to. Yeah, like
it's not honorable.
Honorable. We already have the most honorable guy we're supposed to know about in the actual series just stab someone in the back with no actual reason. Meanwhile, Jaime Lannister doesn't kill the king, but whatever.
He did kill the pyromancer though.
I know, but like, it's a pyromancer. Who cares? Sprinting upstairs, dropping sword. Ned informed Howland. Wait, if you sprint up the stairs, how do you inform Howland? The guy is short. He cannot keep up with you. Okay, I mean, that's a nitpick on my end, but yeah.
He yelled behind him as he ran up.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, you could just shout, Howland, keep watch, you dumbass. You're too short to be useful, but I want you to keep watch. There wasn't any returning guards. But you dropped your sword, buddy. They had to prepare for it and entered the tower alone, dagger in hand. Oh, okay, with the dagger. At least he has a dagger. You know, it's not a sword, but it's something. As soon as he entered the room where noises could be heard, he was hit by the intense smell of blood and sweat, with the source laying in a bed in front of him, his sister. Ned, is that you, brother? Lyanna whispered out. Ned rushed to the side of the... Why is this in italics and the rest isn't?
Because the rest is just narration and this is like an actual scene.
You know, that's fair. Ned rushed to the side of the bed where he could get a good look at his sister. He grabbed hold of her hand and instantly grew concerned with the lack of grip he received back. Aw. Yes, it's me, Lya. I'm here for you. I'm here to take you home, Ned explained, trying to be strong but failing as a look of concern took over his visage. Visage. Oh, the French. I don't think that's gonna happen, big brother. Lyanna managed to get out as her bottom leg started to tremble. Aw, and her eyes started to fill with tears. No. Sorry. It's a shame your Kingsguard didn't get a few moments like this. He just died instantly. But you get the bottom tremble and cry. Don't talk like that. You're going to be fine, Ned replied as he looked down at the blood-stained sheets she was laid in. There was too much blood, and it seemed to be still flowing to his horror. Is there a maester or anybody here who can help? He asked her. He looked around the room and yelled for somebody to bring her a maester or a nurse or anybody. This is obviously someone who saw the scene in season 6 and is like trying to just... As he's watching it, he's writing things down. Bring her some water, somebody. What's with the period here? Lyanna squeezed his hand with all the strength she had, and he turned to look at her. It's too late, big brother. I think my time is coming. Just don't leave me. I don't want to die alone, Lyanna rasped out as the tears flowed freely from her eyes. You know, they're filling with tears, and now they're flowing. You're not going to die. Stop talking like this. It's all my fault. Father's and Brandon's deaths are on me. I hope they forgive me when we meet again. Yep, hopefully.
Nope.
Alright, Dylan, dagger is better and close always like that. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's fair. Dagger is indeed better, but I wouldn't specifically drop my sword. I would probably just sheathe my sword.
True.
Right?
Like, you know, what if you drop the dagger? You're gonna need something. Or you're gonna use your hands to block someone trying to kill you? Because you can still grab the blade of your sword and half sword it. If you don't want the maneuverability. But yes. Lya, stop. You need to save your energy. Stop blaming yourself for all of this. Prince Lewin had to deliver him. The nurses were returning from Starfall. They should be back soon, but he was early. You have to promise me, Ned. Promise me that he'll be loved. Promise me that he won't be blamed for any of this. Promise me he'll be cared for by his family. What are you talking about, Lya? As soon as he asked her this, he heard the little whimpers of a baby that was resting inside of a small, makeshift crib. He had a little wisp of dark brown hair, tiny button nose, and a furrowed brow, almost as if he was concentrating. What a cutie.
Yep, they watched. They watched season 6.
Yep.
Yep.
His name is Jaehaerys. Jaehaerys Targaryen. You have to keep him safe, Ned. He's so small. I like how he's injecting random bits of dialogue into the scene that he watched to make it sound like it's original and to, you know, extend the scene as much as possible.
Yes,
Right.
Dylan, it is her fault.
You're right. It is indeed her fault.
It's more of Rhaegar and Elia's fault.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah,
She was
okay.
just a dumb kid that got groomed.
That got groomed. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of true. But she did she did go along with it. I mean, her first plan was to go to Essos. So
Yes, but that wouldn't have led to a war.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have led to her death either. Well, I mean,
it
her
probably
death
would
through
have,
this,
but
her death through this particular way, at any rate. Lyanna got out as she let the tears consume her. He could see she was struggling to hang on and desperately needed him to make that promise. I promised, Lyanna. I'll love him. His siblings will love him. He won't be blamed for any of this. He'll be cared for by his family, Ned vowed. Thank you, big brother. Ned took his eyes away.
Onita.
Yes.
That's what I keep imagining as well.
Ned took his eyes away from Laya's little boy and looked at Laya. Her eyes were closed, with a slight smile on her face. Oh. He took a hold of her hand as her breathing slowed down. Lyanna, he whispered, but received no reply as her chest stopped moving and her face slackened. She was gone. Ned sat there for a few moments, trying to collect himself after what had just happened. He took a deep breath, stood up, and went outside to sort things out with Howland. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, he could see that Howland was preparing the bodies to be burnt. So much death for nothing. Was he right to withhold Rhaegar's order from the guards? He came to the conclusion that if he hadn't fought, then Prince Lewin would have no doubt followed the babe until he was in Rhaegar's arms. He did the right thing for his family. What?
Not really.
Dylan, she'd have ended up in a harem or a brothel in Essos. Yes. Yes, you would have. Or like a pleasure house in Lys.
Lys is an Essos.
I mean, okay, but like if
and it's a brothel. So what are you?
it's
never
not
mind.
quite there. It's on the edge of it.
So it's still there.
I don't like you using logic. As Ned was fussing over the little one, Howland burnt the bodies and gathered the ashes to return to their respective families. Lyanna wouldn't be burnt. Her bones would return to where they belong, the Winterfell crypts, with the rest of her family. The little family... Wait, no, the Winterfell crypts are for
The lords.
the lords and the ancient
But I
kings
mean,
of winter.
canonically, Ned did break that rule for Lyanna. So.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. You're right. The little family that he had left was all that mattered to him right now, and that included Laya's son. He'd made a promise to her, and he would keep it. He would have to claim him as his own. The life of a bastard wouldn't be easy for him, but it would be better than a life of whispers and loneliness in King's Landing away from his real family. His real family is... Oh, my God. Better having your father and your half-brother and half-sister than having your cousins and raised as a bastard anyway.
I mean, technically, he still is. Wait, does he still assume that Lyanna is that John would be a bastard anyway from Rhaegar, or does he know they were married at this point?
Well, Lyanna told him that his last name was Targaryen, which implies
Yeah.
they were married.
And also, if you read this
But she was
sentence,
bleeding out, so maybe she was hallucinating. Who knows?
possible, but in his mind here, like this is written in his point of view. If you mention the life of the bastard wouldn't be easy for him, but it would be better than a life of whispers and loneliness. Here, like obviously, it's assumed that he's not a bastard here. If he's specifically mentioning a bastard in Winterfell, he wouldn't be mentioning a life of whispers and loneliness in King's Landing.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
if the
true.
argument was the life of a bastard in Winterfell would be better than a life of bastard in King's Landing.
Yeah, he would have to specifically say bastard to King's Landing for me to actually think that that's what he meant.
Okay, I agree. Carry on.
Yes. He hoped the babe would react well to goat's milk. They weren't gonna wait for the nurses to return. It was a risk, but it had to be done. Maybe that's why John is so crazy. He fucking started with goat milk.
The secret way to become a badass.
Yeah. He needed to ride hard with Howland to Night Song, since that was the closest place he could think of where he could hire a wet nurse discreetly. Ned and Howland would have to hide any house sigils and clues to their identities when entering Night Song, find a wet nurse, and leave as soon as possible. After gathering the Lyanna's remains,
Not just Liana, the Liana.
when you die, you require this now. And the ashes, explaining his plan to Howland, riding to Night Song and successfully finding a wet nurse, him, his adoptive son who he had been calling John, named after the man who was like a second father to him, Lord Aaron.
In case you didn't know.
Lord Aaron is the man who was second father to him, John named after him. Howland and the recently hired wet nurse, who has no name, traveled to King's Landing, where Ned, her job is to have boobs and
I
feed
think
child.
isn't this Villa?
Could be Bessie with the you know what I mean.
God bless Bessie.
And her tits.
But she was Roberts.
Where Ned informed Howland to keep John and the wet nurse out of sight, whilst he went to the Red Keep to do something that he dreaded. He had to use Lyanna's body to help him with his lie, a lie that would go on to devastate Rhaegar and Elia, who would end up crying on each other's shoulders as Lord Stark replayed. Remove this and you got it right. The events to them of the whole misunderstanding. Prince Lewin believing Lord Stark was still loyal to the rebels, that he was there to take Lyanna away from her husband and wife and return to Winterfell with her. The battle that would ensue because of it all, and the losses of both Ned's bannermen, but also Prince Lewin, along with all the guards that were stationed there. Well, why not simply... There's no way he could have killed all of them if it was a misunderstanding. He would have just tried to disarm them and then save their lives. Unless he simply doesn't care.
And I love how he uses the truth as part of the misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Rhaegar's not in big brain mode anymore.
Yeah,
Also,
what?
Yeah, also the part where he hands the ashes over. Let's mention this after you read that.
Sure. He handed him the ashes of Prince Lewin and hit them with the hard news that Lyanna had birthed a stillborn girl and that he spread her ashes at Summerhall on the way there.
Okay, so let's take a moment here. What's wrong with that?
Wait, isn't Summerhall north of the King's Landing?
Could
Not
be.
sure.
No,
Let
I
me
need to see this now. Quarter
I think
Maester. I was fairly sure that it was.
I think Summerhall's in the Stormlands, isn't it? But I'm not 100%.
Oh no, never mind. It is. It's south of King's Landing. Yeah. No, it's good. Wait, where's Night Song? Yeah, okay, it's on the way, ish.
Okay.
I mean,
So it is feasible.
you'd have to take a bit of a detour.
Yeah. True.
All right, I accept this. Dazzler, what did I miss? You essentially missed most of the prologue. But hello, Dazzler. Now, where were we? Spread her ashes at Summerhall. Stillborn girl. Ned Stark the liar.
Again, what's wrong with him burning the bodies?
You're supposed to bury them.
Yep.
You bury bodies. They'd appreciated the sentiment and agreed with Ned that the best place for Lyanna was with her family. They looked devastated, and Ned felt like shit throughout the whole ordeal. It was cruel.
At least he feels bad about it.
Yeah, he
At least
feels
he feels
bad.
bad about it.
Even though
It's showing that he's still a good guy.
Well, not really a good guy, but we can read the one-line summary at the top of again if you wait long enough, Desla.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do that. It was cruel, but it was the best for his family and John. Ned was the head of his family now. He had a duty, and he'd still not forgiven their family for what happened to his. He was bitter, and in his mind, rightfully so. He offered his condolences, explained that he had been away from home long enough, and made a swift exit with Lyanna's body after Rhaegar and Elia had said one last tear-filled. It's either heartfelt or tear-filled. It's not. Stop it, Dirk. Dirkenfield heirs. Goodbye, Dor. They took a ship from King's Landing to White Harbor, and from there, he and Howland would say their farewells to each other and ride back to their respective homes. He approached Winterfell, dreading Catelyn's reaction to Jon, but also excited to see his newborn child. Catelyn's reaction turned out to be muted, but he could see she was holding her tongue and didn't agree with his actions one bit. He would just have to live with the guilt for the sake of his family. Seeing Jon and his new son Robb laid in their cribs babbling nonsensical noises at each other was what it was all about now. His family, the future. Oh, this is Iron Ends. So, let's read the initial part for him. Just
So Desla know what's going on.
This here?
No, a bit further. There.
How long is it? Okay, until the snap of a twig.
Well, no, not that far. I meant.
What, like the first thing, eh?
Yeah.
Sure. So, just for you, Dazzler, get ready to be dazzled by this. I'll shut up now. I mean, I'll just narrate. I won't shut up. The rebellion was over, but at great costs throughout the entire realm. The major houses, the minor houses, the small folk, and even the land itself. Poor land. King Aerys Targaryen II. F for the land. More commonly referred to as the Mad King, had been removed from power by force, and the realm was about to be in its road to recovery, even with the late Robert Baratheon's attempts at getting revenge and justice for his assumed kidnapped betrothed. House Targaryen remained the ruling family of the Seven Kingdoms. King Rhaegar Targaryen, first of his name, had been crowned shortly after his father's death, along with his queen Elia (Martell) Targaryen. But both monarchs had hoped for a third to be crowned on that day alongside.
Yeah. That's basically everything that happens in this chapter.
Yeah, I know it takes a while for me to narrate this, but it's important that I do it because it's funny. Now the question is, do we keep going with this, or do we retry something else? This work doesn't allow non-archive users to comment. You can however leave kudos. It's okay. I wasn't planning on commenting anyway, but I would read the comments, eagerly awaiting for the next chapter. Another dragon ends up rotting on the wall because Ned hates Rhaegar so much that he prefers it there. Never telling the truth. Look, yeah, he expanded. You're right. It is ridiculous. He expanded a single paragraph into a gigantic prologue. It was painful.
It's not the longest prologue I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Well, much longer ones.
These comments, though. Will it be with a woman? I can't find that click you speak of.
Read the answer, actually.
Ned won't have a say what Jon does. Later chapters will make that pretty evident. There'll be some standard pairings, some fairly complicated pairings. John does have an endgame pairing with a woman, but he may or may not take a trip to Dorne before any of that. What happens in Dorne stays in Dorne. Oh no.
Oh no.
That
Oh,
explains
no.
so much.
What happens in Dorne stays in Dorne, buddy. You probably did leave a review, but I mean, we're probably gonna get to it at some
Well,
point.
I mean, Lyanna was bisexual. Why wouldn't be John?
Ned and his bitch fish wife. Oh yeah, bitch fish wife. Okay, should both be hung for kidnapping and torturing her. Why should she be hung for? She didn't do
does.
anything.
Yeah.
She exists. Don't fuck Ned.
Catelyn.
Also, I like this one image. Of
Okay. For a moment, I read Dumbledore Ned and was amused.
Yo, stop hating Dumbledore.
Why?
Interesting start.
Technically, he does the exact same thing. Taking a boy, putting him into another family.
Oh no, you're right.
Oh no.
The start was anything but interesting. John surely has to hate Ned in the future. Ned might have just dug himself his own. Yeah, no shit. I don't see Rhaegar or Elia being too lenient when they find out John was kept on them. Thanks. You'll see what John thinks of Ned in the next chapter. Oh my god. Definitely an out of character Ned, but looking forward to the next installment.
I would say we should go to the next chapter because
Yeah, these are getting kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. The Bastard of Winterfell. Yeah, he kind of was worse, but at the same time, he kind of wasn't. It's hard to say. Like, I don't actually hate Dumbledore. I know a lot of people do, but I don't.
I did for a while, but as I've gotten older, I've grown out of it.
We will have ample opportunity to talk about Dumbledore bashing in the future.
Yes, we will be reading a really bad Harry Potter fan fiction in the future, so don't you worry about that. We will address this and make fun of it, of course.
I'm gonna bow out now. I've got to go get lunch.
All right.
Wait at least for the iconic name for Lady Catelyn. That will be like in the first 3 sentences. So,
You sure?
well, okay, paragraphs.
Nah, he must be hungry.
Where it is?
Where? I don't see it.
Oh, okay, he's already gone. Never mind.
Yeah, he won't eat. Guy needs to eat. Come on.
Dylan could join. Come on,
I mean,
Dylan.
To be fair, Dylan's kind of sick, so we don't really want to bother him with it.
Yeah, okay. Let's hope he gets well soon.
Oh, he will. He's Dylan. It goes without saying. In the last chapter, a reader made a comment about pairing tags, and I've made the decision to leave it in your hand. Whoa, calm down. Never do that. I will add tags for John's pairings. I like how he keeps the plural in there, just in case. If that's what people want, but only John's pairing. I've only seen one comment about it so far, but if it's a popular request, then I'll oblige. I only wanted to hide them so it didn't ruin the surprise, but at the end of the day, I know what's going to happen. And if you want to know, then I don't see a problem. Hope this clears things up. Also, a fair warning: strong language will be prevalent throughout the story. Sorry if that's a deal breaker for anyone. Other than that, enjoy.
We will.
I feel like you're making a Monty Python reference there, Dylan. To which I must say, you're a loony. John. 14 years. 14 years John had lived in Winterfell with the Starks, and the majority of that time he'd felt misplaced and experienced a lack of belonging. He didn't hate the Starks. Far from it, in fact. He loved his brothers and sisters, but he always found himself on the sidelines, in the shadows, a +1, if you will, when it came to actually belonging in the Stark household. There was a lot of reasons for that, but in the end, it all boiled down to that one word: bastard. It was bullshit. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, hey, it's Finian. Okay, Dazzler equal Finian. Got it. It was bullshit. How in the world could anybody with an ounce of logic in their head blame somebody for the situation of their birth? But they did. And that was just the sad reality of the world they lived in. The parents, a majority of the time, would get away with a slap on the wrist and an earful from the missus. From the missus. And the bastard in question would be ridiculed and pushed under the feet of the better, more powerful people in today's society. Today's society. Calm down. And they wonder why bastards snapped and caused wars. Alright, there was only one bastard that caused a war, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't because he snapped. It was just because he wanted the throne.
Yes, you do.
Yep. Not this bastard, though. No, he would never usurp his siblings.
Usurp
Usurp her? I don't even know her. I'm not funny, am I?
Nope.
I'm sorry. But he would never usurp his siblings for their positions, even if a certain stuck-up trout of a woman thought otherwise. Cow. I thought she was a trout. She was a trout, but now she's a cow. Okay.
She's both.
No, let me. Oh no. Let me take that back. That's being harsh. Cows are at least somewhat useful with their milk and their meat and their leather. A lot more useful compared to that thunder cunt. Fenian?
Yes, Fenian.
Okay, I'm sorry. I see an E and I think to pronounce it the way the French do. I apologize. Sure. She loved all her children unconditionally, and she kept the keep running like any normal lady would. But the moment John would cross eyes with the woman, he would get a reaction out of her like he'd shat in her morning porridge. And if he was being honest, he was at his wit's end with the whole situation.
So basically, she isn't even abusive to him. She just looks.
She just
mad
gives
at
him
him.
bad looks. That's it.
Yeah, this is the Naruto fan fiction all over again. They
Really
glare,
is.
they glare at him, and in the truth, it's like they all beat him up.
Look, my cousin likes me. I like you too, buddy. Fenian. Is that better? Fenian.
Fenian.
Alright.
We'll just call you Desla.
I'm gonna call you Fenian. Sure. Oh no, we did this. He was currently returning from the rookery, where Maester Lewin had tasked him to deliver some scrolls to Lord Stark, when all of a sudden, Lady Thundercunt came. Well, thundering down him with a scowl that could curdle milk. And where do you think you're going, bastard?
Yes, because she has the time to just randomly shout at him.
This is so surreal right now, but just delivering these scrolls to my father. He's always minding his own business. John always referred to Lord Stark as father whenever he was talking to her. He knew it pissed her off, and he couldn't for the life of him care. That's Lord Stark to you, bastard. Lord Stark, father, same thing, really. This is too much. You will refer to him as Lord Stark. Am I clear, bastard? Callan seethed.
Yes, because she did that in the books. Also, no, Dylan, she wasn't like that in the books. At least not in the first book.
Well, he's saying she was much worse. What do you think? Was she much worse?
I don't think so. At least she didn't yell at him in the corridors about how he shouldn't call Lord Stark his father.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, fine. We'll stick to Dazzler. I mean, I could always try to read the second thing in your name. DR4PHIIXXXZ.
Now I'll just call you Fenian.
Well, he fucked another woman. and I was the byproduct of their coupling. So by logic, he is my father. But I suppose that's too hard to grasp for lesser, more dim-witted creatures. Would you agree, Lady Cuntlin? No.
Yes. Lady Cuntlin the Thunder Cunt.
Lady Cuntlin, the thunder cunt that thunders in the hallways. Where was it? She comes thundering towards people, the Lady Thunder Cuntlin. His blood was up, and he was swinging wild. He was getting his last hits in before he left this place. He knew he'd get an explosive reaction out of her, and he braced for impact. Slap. She slapped him. How dare you speak to me like that, bastard? John braced for the slap and was able to collect himself. I apologize, Lady Callan. It was a mere slip of the tongue. Not unlike us bastards to bring shame upon ourselves by merely opening our mouths, is it? Lady Catelyn yanked the scrolls from John and brushed past him towards Lord Stark's Solar. Your father... Oh no. Your father will hear about your disrespect toward me. Mark my words. Calm down, Malfoy.
Yeah, Malfoy is, my father will hear about this, and Lady Catelyn is like, your father will hear about this.
John picked up on her slip-up and couldn't resist getting the last word in as he headed out towards the Godswood. See, you're learning. You do know he's my father. And with that, John shut the door behind him, not waiting for the reaction Lady Catelyn was no doubt going to send his way. He didn't care. Gods, it felt so freeing to not give two shits sometimes. But, you know, sometimes he just gives a shit.
Sometimes.
Yes. He knew Lord Stark would be having a word with him before the day was out. But he was another person. He was starting to get tired of, mainly the secrets and lies whenever the subject of his mother came up.
Where we start.
Yep. He would ask him the next time they talked who she is and whether she was dead or not. It would probably be the last time he gets the chance if he was being honest with himself, and if he still refused to talk about her, then, well, he supposed it was never meant to be. He knew for certain, though, he would never forgive the man.
Calm down, John.
Ned. We are now in our hero's perspective. The man, the myth, the legend, Ned Stark, the Quiet Wolf, Lyanna's beloved brother. He is. Well, we'll say it every now and again, like Ned, Lyanna's beloved brother, the Quiet Wolf, was quietly reflecting on the week's events when suddenly Cat came thundering in, with a face like a tomato.
Because now tomatoes are common now in Westeros.
Yes, people love tomatoes. Everybody eats them in Westeros. Such a normal thing. Totally normal. Ned thought as he braced himself for another earful of hate towards John, who, as of late, showed little interest in anybody's thoughts. He wasn't sure what had started all of this misbehavior from John. Yes, he knew he'd inherited the wolf's blood from his mother, but so had Arya and Rickon, and they were nowhere near as rebellious as John had been as of late. Coupled with John's sharp tongue, another inheritance from his mother, and his adamant nature. John had been a pain in the arse, especially in the yard, where he would smack people silly with his obviously gifted... No. Give me a second here. Okay. Especially in the yard, where he would smack people silly with his obviously gifted martial talents without an ounce of remorse. He'd broken Theon's nose and 2 of his fingers the last time they faced off, and the lad now refuses to spar with John anymore. I mean, I would too. He broke the guy's nose and 2 of his fingers with his obviously gifted martial talents. Isn't he so strong?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's kind of meta that he said he knew it would be the last time, but I guess it could be like justified by because he's saying he's leaving and that this is the last time.
Yeah, it's he plans to leave, so of course if he says, okay, I will give him one last chance, and if he doesn't answer, I will leave. So
yep, pretty much. Robb was worried. Sansa thought he was an uncouth brute. Hell yeah, I like Sansa.
Sansa's at this moment the only one who actually makes sense.
Yeah, like, no shit, he's an uncouth brute. He broke Theon's nose and 2 of his fingers without an ounce of remorse.
Yeah.
Bran was confused. Well, I would be too. with the change of behavior. And Arya and Rickon just found it all bloody hilarious.
Well, okay, Rickon is a baby and Arya is...
Arya is Arya.
Yeah.
Arya's idea is like killing people. It's fun. Was it him coming of age? Ned noticed John had started to sprout up, taller than Rob now, and the same height as himself. Having to remind him to keep his facial hair tidy, as that was starting to appear on his face that was now devoid of baby fat. The guy is 14 years old. How does he not have baby fat anymore? People always said that bastards were forced to grow up faster than a trueborn, but he didn't think it meant physically. People were also starting to whisper that he was Brandon's son and not his, based on the fact that every aspect of John was starting to outgrow Ned. Oh no. Muscles, hair, height, you name it. John was outgrowing him in it. He doesn't. Okay, that it doesn't specifically say that he's going, but it's like the thing is that the author knows that he's going, and he tries to make his attitude sound like he is going, but he's just acting like a dick just to burn all the bridges he can before he leaves.
Yeah,
That's
actually, it's still in his plans. I mean, we know we've read ahead, so we know he read books about fishing for like a few months by now, and
it's not yet mentioned, but like this is what I mean. But by really cringy fan fiction, it's not well written. So your assumption is that he hasn't actually said anything, but the author assumption is that he did, but he doesn't actually say it, so people don't actually know what happens. Like, this is bad writing. It's still funny to read though. Like we have a 14-year-old that is now outgrowing a grown man in muscles, hair, height.
You name it.
You name it. John was outgrowing him in it. The girls around Winterfell and Wintertown were starting to take notice of him as well, watching him spar and exercise. But every time Ned caught sight of the girls giggling at John, he would notice that John was completely oblivious to it. All the ladies want him, but he doesn't notice. Sound familiar? He hoped it stayed like that. He didn't need more headaches. Speaking of headaches, good segue. And when his wife was currently wailing at him about his hellborn bastard, he had to admit she was getting creative when describing John as of late. That insufferable boy has to go, Ned. He's just disrespected your wife and the Lady of Winterfell. He has lost all manners and respect for his betters, and he's getting worse with every day that passes, Catelyn said as she slammed the scroll she was holding onto his desk. Ned sighed. Like, it's really like she's going ham. Ned sighed as he prepared to defend John the best that he realistically could. He's going through the change, Cat. We were all moody at that age. He'll grow out of it. He knew it was a weak argument, but he honestly had no other explanation for John's change in demeanor. No excuse, Ned. Rob is going through that as well, and he's remained a respectable young man, unlike his bastard half-brother who's been an uncouth brat. Uncouth or uncouth?
I think uncouth, but you shouldn't be asking me.
You know, you're right. I shouldn't be asking you. Uncouth pronunciation.
You can just press the voice button on Google.
I did it. I was right, of course. Oh, that's a comment. I tried reading some HP fanfic earlier and it was so cringe. Oh no. Link it in you know the channel Garbage Fire Fiction? Link it there. We'll see it. We'll eventually get to it.
HP is coming up next.
If you're up for it, yeah.
Maybe not today, but I mean next time.
Oh yeah, for sure. No excuses, Ned. Robert. Okay, we did that. Send him to Castle Black with his uncle. I bet Benjen would love to have him there with him, and John can do his duty by channeling that wolf blood of his into repelling wildlings. Everybody wins. Ned sighed. He's not going to the wall, Cat. We've been over this several times. If you wouldn't send your son to the wall, don't expect me to do it, John. He can make that choice himself when he's older. But at the moment, he's not going anywhere. I'll have a word with him and tell him to pack it in with these mood swings. Pack it in with these mood swings, John, and to take his aggression out on a straw dummy instead of an actual person. It's the best I can come up with at the moment.
Wow. Also, I will have to go for a moment, so you can either read further or pause for a moment.
No, I mean, I'll keep reading. You can
All right.
just, do the mute thing. Catelyn was clearly unhappy with his response and was holding her tongue, but she replied with a curt, "As you say, my lord, by your leave," and exited his solar. Ned had to get John to start cooperating with him more. He knew he was getting colder with him because of his constant rebuttals about his mother, but Ned was not ready to tell him. He was scared of John's reaction if he was being honest, so he kept putting it off, telling himself that he would tell him soon, and with his recent behavior, anything could happen when he found out. Wow. With that, he rose from his desk and made his way out to the yard where John would no doubt be. He prepared himself for this talk with him. Absolutely anything could come out of this, he feared. Unfortunately, when he arrived at the yard, he couldn't spot John, but he saw Rob, Bran, and Theon instead. So he approached them to find out where their brother was. Alright, Theon is not one of their brothers, but sure. Rob, Bran, Theon, none of you have seen John, have you? Hi, father. Sorry he's not here, but we saw him heading towards the Godswood. He didn't look pleased. God damn, why does Rob sound like a robot? I know the first 3 letters of Rob is a robot. Oh, hey, Nina. How are you? Nina is one of my friends. I watch her stream all the time. I link it in my server sometimes. And yeah, Dazzler. Wow. Rob replied as Bran nodded his head in agreement. What's new? He's always been a miserable bastard, Theon replied with a smirk on his face. Rob and Bran didn't look impressed when Theon referred to their brother as a bastard. What? He's a bastard, no changing the facts. Not my fault he can't handle that, Theon defended. Nina, you missed the part where John called Catelyn Stark Lady Cuntlin and referred to her as the Thunder Cunt. It was beautiful. I felt my heart flutter because John is he's just so handsome, as we've seen in this chapter. So handsome, so tall, almost taller than his father. At 14 years of age, he's a hunk of man meat. He's only acting out because people enjoy reminding him of his birth every chance they get, you included. Bran defended. Ned was proud of his children's protection of John, always protecting members of their pack. Unfortunately, John seemed to be going the way of the lone wolf as of late, and the famous Stark saying didn't calm any of his fears. Enough. The Godswood, you say, as Bran nodded. He thanked them and headed towards the Godswood, dreading the conversation he was about to have. He knew John would turn the conversation towards his mother. He always did when he was getting a talking to. An effective defense mechanism, Ned had to admit. This entire sentence makes me cry. On the inside. I never cry on the outside. That's not very good. For me. As Ned entered the grove, he noticed John was nowhere to be seen. He wondered where on earth he could... Earth? Bruh. This is Westeros. This is... No. I'm sorry. I can't forgive you for this. Yes, his pack. Yeah, like Jon Snow is supposedly taller than Ned Stark at 14 years of age, but neither of his friends were actually particularly tall. Yes, Westeros, but somehow where on Earth? As he approached the heart tree, he started to think about Jon and ultimately about Lyanna. Gods, he missed her. She'd know what to do with Jon, and Jon would listen to absolutely everything she said, whether he liked it or not. She'd have told him to stop acting like an idiot, had a spar with him, and took him out for a ride in the Wolfswood, all with a mother's touch, something completely foreign to John in reality. He always asked himself if Queen Elia would have been a mother to him, if he was wrong to do what he did. It was a waste of time thinking like that now, though. The ink was dry. Oh, just so you know, Nina, this is an alternate universe fan fiction where Robert is the one who loses, but Ned still brings John home with him instead of giving him to Rhaegar. Which, whatever. I think it was like more that he was dissatisfied with Rhaegar and he held a grudge, so he took John. With his prayers finished, Ned got up from the heart tree and made his way back to the yard to see if John had returned through there. And lo and behold, did not tell you there? He had. John was currently sparring with 3 of Winterfell's guards. Oh no, this is already sounding bad. John was currently sparring with 3 of Winterfell's guards. Well, sparring was not the word for it. John was throwing more punches instead of swinging a sword. Ned spotted Robb, Bran, and Theon again as they were watching the fight unfold. All 3 of them didn't look best pleased. Arya and Rickon, on the other hand, who had clearly snuck out of lessons, were cheering John on with every punch he landed. Yes, he's a 14-year-old sparring with 3 of Winterfell's guards, throwing punches everywhere. What in God's name is happening here? Okay, what in the gods... plural. Ned asked Robb, who had a worried look on his face. John was coming from the Godswood just as you entered and accidentally bumped into one of the guards. Robb explained. The guard told him to watch where he was going and called him a daft bastard. Him and the rest of the guards thought they were funny and just started laughing. What even is the situation? Bran butted in. John asked if the guard cared for a spar to work some of that attitude off. Told them all 3 were welcome to come spar with him. Obviously, the guards wanted to bring John down a peg or two, so they agreed. 5 minutes later, the spar became this. John's already broken Todd's nose for his daft bastard comment, and now he's just throwing them around. You're so right. Definitely would have said what in the name of... Yeah, you're right. He would have definitely said what in the name of the old gods. But not God's name. Link something in Discord for you. Picture the Riddy emoji here. You linked something in Discord. Let's see what we got. Oh. Yeah. I see it. Thank you. But yes, Jon Snow, 14 years old. He's fighting 3 people at once and beating them with his fists alone. I mean, look, he broke Todd's nose. Goddamn Todd. Like, what kind of name is Todd anyway? Like, screw this guy. He doesn't compare to Jon. He's nothing. You should be on Jon's side. He's just standing up for himself like any Stark of Winterfell would. I would have done the same if I was in his shoes, Arya defended as Rickon nodded his head in agreement. I am on Jon's side, Arya. I'm just worried that he's gonna bite off more than he can chew. Oh my god. One day and get seriously hurt. Bran replied with genuine concern for his brother. The sight warmed Ned's heart. By the way, Bran, I mean, he's very talkative, this Bran. Isn't he like 11 or 9 or something? Didn't he usually just stays quiet for the most part in the books? Unless he's actually the one being the proactive element instead of his brother. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. Jon's already won and left. Already won and left? What the? Hold on, let me... Okay. Like, as they were talking, like these 2 to 3 lines here, Jon's already won and left. This is how strong he is. The 14-year-old Jon Snow. Nobody's more amazing than him. We cannot compare. Ned looked to the yard to see. Like, he pulled a Batman here. Like, just to interrupt myself, he pulled a Batman. Ned looked to the yard to see the three guards dusting themselves off and grumbling something incoherent as they walked off to lick their wounds. John was nowhere to be seen. I don't know, he just disappeared. Now, even Ned's confused. Now where's he gone? Ned thought aloud. Theon came to his aid, informing him that he saw John walking towards the stables. Oh, no, you don't, you little sod. That was your mother's trick, that, taking her horse for a ride to avoid being reprimanded for something she'd done. Except, how would he know that it was his mother's trick if he's never seen his mother or even heard of her? I mean, aside from the stories about her. And didn't even know she was his mother. But yes, logic. All Ned heard as he made for the stables was Arya calling Theon a what? A grass? Hey, is this an actual insult? Like, is this a thing? Arya calling Theon a grass, and Bran asking Robb if John would be okay. Ned was getting worried now. John seemed to be lashing out at every chance he got, and a pattern was emerging. It all revolved around that one word, bastard. And Ned felt like utter shit about the whole situation he'd put the lad in. Honestly, at 14, even if he was skilled, he wouldn't have the physicality to fight 3 full-grown men. I know, exactly. Like, I can't even... Okay, listen, I'm not gonna say I'm Mr. Universe or whatever, but I'm pretty decently built, and I'm pretty sure I can't take 3 guys at the same time unless it's some kind of, like, insane, impossible set of scenarios that happen for me to be able to do it. But yeah. He got to the stables as John was saddling and packing a horse. A sudden sense of dread taking him. Where are you off to? Ned asked him. Okay, there's a period here. Ned asked him as John realized he wasn't alone in the stables. Just going to take a ride through the Wolfswood to clear my head, that's all. Why? What's up? John replied as he carried on with his task. We need to have a chat, John. I need to work out what's been going on with you lately, Ned answered. Catelyn came into my solar earlier telling me that you'd been disrespectful and vulgar towards her. Then I catch you in the yard brawling with the guards. You've apparently broken one of their noses, the same thing you did with Theon last week. Screw Theon, who gives a shit about you? Theon, get out of here. I'll blame it on your entrance into adulthood, but that's not a good enough excuse, Ned sighed. What on earth is up with you as of late? What on earth is up? Not much. You? John. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. It's too much. Look, we've been at it for a couple hours. I can't stay serious forever. What's up? He has great ability with all the vernacular. Yes. No. I must be serious. No. This is serious business. As I said in the description, we're here to be serious about this. Okay. I've collected myself. Did a little break me. When I was 12, I was 5'11". You know, some people are. When I was 12, I think I was like 5'2". I can't remember. I wasn't very tall. Did a kid write this? I'm pretty sure an adult wrote this. I don't know the actual age of the person, but I'm 100% sure an adult wrote this because there are mentions of non-consensual things and harems and other such horrific things. But yes, he has the writing ability of a child. Be more serious, like the quiet wolf. Yes, I must control myself. I must be like Ned, Lyanna's beloved brother, the quiet wolf. Oh, I'm 6'7". Jesus Christ, Dazzler. You were taller than me when you were 12. You know that? Just letting you know. I'm not that tall. Little shit, Ned thought. No, I'm serious. Little shit, Ned thought as he huffed. Ned has lost the conversation before it even begun. Are you gonna are you gonna tell me what is wrong with you, or are you gonna carry on with the snide attitude? Ned was always known for keeping his cool, but he was losing it with John at the moment. He needed answers, and John was the only one with them. Just to point out what you said earlier, Dylan. See, he's not being serious. He's no longer quiet. He's losing it. It's the end times. Gotta tell you, it's the end times. I'll tell you what. I'll answer your question if you answer mine. Do we have a deal? Should be a period after a question mark. John replied casually with a slight upturn of his mouth. Sneaky sod has me cornered, Ned thought. I mean, if you realize he has you cornered, then how are you actually cornered? And what is your question? Ned asked, but he already knew what was coming. Who is my mother? John said, stone-faced and unblinking, directly into Ned's eyes. John's eyes the exact shade of silver as his mother. Promise me, Ned. I can't tell you right now. Look, you need to stop asking me. I'll tell you when the time is right. Ned rasped out as he stared at John. Rasped. He's a smoker. Yes. Little reaction was received from John, just cold resignation and exasperation. He'd expected Ned's answer. Then we seem to have reached an impasse, Lord Stark, John replied. He looked bored of the whole conversation as he continued saddling his horse. He'd played Ned so easily, he knew Ned wouldn't answer his question about his mother, and he used that to protect himself from answering Ned's question. Ned sighed. He'd been played by a 14-year-old, who was clearly beyond his years already. All of these people being so stupid doesn't speak well of the author's intelligence. Yep, you're certainly right about that. I mean, how do you get played by a 14-year-old when you actually realize what he's doing in the first place? Johnny Gray's eyes. Yeah, you're right. He has gray eyes. I mean, it's fan fiction. People like to do that thing where they just hype up their characters and make them better than they are. I mean, actual John, is not as tall or as buff as this 14-year-old. If you're writing a story where the Targaryens are still in power, why wouldn't you just do your own thing and have his parents still? Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. You can still call me father when it's just the two of us. You know that, right? I'm afraid you're misinformed, Lord Stark. I haven't been... Okay, you're misinformed, and then you're misinformed. I haven't been informed recently to only refer to you as Lord Stark from now on, from none other. None than the Lady of Winterfell herself. I wouldn't want to disrespect my lady's wishes now, would I? So bad. John, if that is all, my lord, I would like to get back before the sun goes down, so I need to leave now. With your leave, of course. I need to leave now with your leave. John interrupted with a cold, diplomatic tone. Ned hated this. Yeah, book John was very interesting. Show John, they just played him as the underdog, which was fine. This John, I don't even know what to say about this John. Fine, but be back for supper, Ned replied, resigned at the conclusion of their conversation. John had been spending a lot of time in the Wolfswood lately. He would always return calmer and more responsive whenever he returned. Arya had asked if she could go with him, but Kat had killed that idea off instantly. Ned couldn't for the life of him keep John caged up as of late, so he allowed it for Lyanna. What a nice guy. Yeah, this John is indeed a prat. Chad John. Edgy John for sure. Like, the actual chapter starts with him saying that his life is bullshit. Like every 13-year-old in existence. This is bullshit. John nodded and galloped out through the gates towards the Wolfwood. Ned had flashbacks of his sister doing the exact same thing with the exact same grace many, many years ago. Ned was officially on John watch now. He'd lost Lyanna because he wasn't paying attention. He wouldn't lose her son the same way. Bold words there. He's making some pretty interesting assumptions that he will actually keep hold of his son. Well, nephew. Give me a second. I need to drink. All right. Now, John, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Oh, okay. John seethed as he rode through the woods towards a small grove he enjoys resting at. It's always me, isn't it? I'm always what's wrong. I'm the problem. Never anybody else. Probably all that bastard blood corrupting my common sense, eh? Yes, of course. Letting a 14-year-old out in a dangerous wilderness is responsible. It's the height of responsibility. This is Ned Stark. Don't you dare judge the man. Don't you dare. Also, I just talked about John being an edgy teen. And this, we immediately just jump to this. I'm not sure what you mean by me needing to be hydrated getting through this, but sure. John took a few deep breaths and calmed himself down as he dismounted his horse and unpacked his food he'd brought with him. Just some hard cheese and some dried beef. Hey, hard cheese. Your favorite, Dylan. You'd like this. I mean, I don't know what hard cheese, but you like cheese. I know that much.
I'm back.
Welcome back, Ralph.
What did I miss?
Oh, yeah. They had the confrontation with Ned. John outsmarted him. A 14-year-old outsmarted his supposed father, and he ran away.
In diplomacy.
Yes, with diplomacy.
Yeah.
That was definite diplomacy we saw. That wasn't contrived writing at all. No, I won't have any of you saying this. This is great. This is beautiful writing. I cannot hope to write something like this. Okay, where were we?
Short reminder, Zero Rewind is a fanfiction writer. Look, yes.
Yes, I write fan fictions. You're right. And I also write a book, which you all know about. So I won't plug it. Maybe at the end.
All right.
I mean, yeah.
You can find his profile on fanfiction.net. Plug
over. Yeah, if you just Google Zero Rewind, that's probably the first things you'll watch, and you'll also probably you'll also probably find my League of Legends account. Don't look at that. Seriously, don't look at that. But where were we? Hard cheese, Dylan's favorite. Oh, thank you guys. Great book. I'd like to think it is, but I mean, I'm biased. And some dried beef. He hitched his horse to the tree and sat down and leant against it, placing his bow and quiver down next to him as he closed his eyes and let the sounds of nature calm his simmering blood. John spent his time in his thoughts thinking about the plan he had conjured up to ultimately make a name for himself. He knew the chances of survival were pretty slim, but anything in life that was worth something was never easy. If he pulled this off, he wouldn't be known as the bastard of Winterfell any longer, but as something greater instead. John thrived for the adventure, the freedom, and the recognition of his own feats.
He's so Lyanna's son.
Pretty much. Also, let's take a moment to realize this entire thing is a single sentence.
Yep.
Simmering with edge. Yes.
Yeah, completely.
This is like the height of edge. He wanted to create his own stories from his real life experiences. He wanted to share those stories with his family and friends. He wanted to mean something, for crying out loud. He was sick of just being somebody's stain. It was going to be a rough few months, he knew. But he had already decided what he was going to do. Use your commas, people. Use your commas.
Just a few rough months. Like, after that, it's just smooth sailing. And yes, that was a pun for the later part of the story.
I know. I know. Stupid ass story. Why can't I stop reading it? He'd researched the closest place to Winterfell that could provide him with a solid ship. Not too small, not too big. What is this? The Goldilocks with the soup? Not too hot, not too cold? It was only him, after all. The condition being that this place had to be on the western coast of the north. One on the eastern coast would do no good for his plans. He'd decided on the stony shore. Yeah, see, this is he read the map and he wrote stony shore. He just had to get lucky with the boat. He may end up having to steal one if it came to it. He would make the journey with another person into the unknown, but he came to the conclusion nobody was daft enough to go along with his mad plan.
Why don't you show a map of where the stony shore is? In
I mean,
Westeros?
I could, but I'm not gonna.
All right.
Dylan, he doesn't even need a sword with so much edge. You are so right. Is anyone else wishing this John gets eaten by a dragon? Nope. No, you're right. I wish that. Actually, I wish that Sansa slaps in the face because she was the only right person so far. Like, she's the only good person in the story right now.
Yep.
Call him an uncouth brute because he broke Theon's nose and two of his fingers because that's such a cool and edgy thing to do.
Did she also say yet he should stay in nature if he likes it so much, or is that in the future?
No, you haven't reached that part.
All right. Sorry.
He'd also done his research on navigating using the stars, his rope knots for all his sails, the most efficient way to fish while out at sea. That was going
all
to be
from
a big
book
one.
folks.
Yes. If he couldn't fish properly, then he might as well not bother with the whole idea. He'd be dead within a fortnight without those skills. He'd be taking plenty of the supplies, but they won't last forever. Imagine learning how to fish by just reading a book on how to fish. Like, okay, the book will tell you to cast the line, we'll put the appropriate bait in, move the line a little bit, like slowly pull it back so that the fish bite. But in reality, they don't talk about, like, there are a lot of things that they miss. You can't just put everything into writing and hope to God that people will learn it properly.
I mean, this isn't even hard to fix within the context of the story. I mean, he could have learned it from fishing in the
Wolfswood, yes.
Yeah.
Like, they could just show a scene of him in the Wolfswood trying to catch a fish, failing, and then be like, damn, I still need to work at this. Or like, he almost catches one and he's like, I'm almost there. I almost got this.
Yeah.
But this is the issue with bad writing. They don't consider these things. They never do.
Also, sailing from books, I mean, that's brave. to read a book and say, okay, now I know how to sail a boat into the open sea.
Yeah, it was like me reading ordinary differential equations and expecting I can actually pass the final test without actually practicing.
Or read the user manual and operate a nuclear plant.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Nothing can go wrong there.
Dazzler. Why does he always go for the nose? I don't know. The nose? It's...
Like Dylan says, it breaks easy.
Yeah, it breaks easy. You're right. It does indeed break easy. You're not supposed to intentionally break someone. Look, we're ignoring conventional rules. There was a part in the prologue where Ned and Jon Arryn and then all the lords ignored the parlay. Like, they're not supposed to ignore that, but they did for the sake of this dumbass story. Yeah. Let's keep going.
Yes, Dylan, it happens, but it's not supposed to be intentional.
It's true. Okay. John was so lost in his thoughts, he nearly missed the sound of rustling leaves and snapping sticks. Wait. Snapping sticks? There we go.
Great
His
sound
horse.
effects.
Thank you. All right, Nina. Take care.
Goodbye,
Nice
Nina.
having you here. Where were we? His horse became spooked, and the reason was slowly making its way into the grove right in front of John, a large and angry-looking grizzly bear.
Oh,
No.
yeah. Now it comes.
The first thing John did was cut his horse loose and send. You cut something loose and sended. Oh, look at you guys. So nice. Send it on his way in the hopes he could retrieve it after. If he survived, that is. He grabbed his bow and his arrows and rolled out of the way just in time to avoid the charging bear and losing his arm there and then. Because, you know, bears can just lop arms off like it's nothing. How many girlfriends does you have?
Of course.
I have just the one, buddy. Nina's a friend. She actually has pretty cool content. I'll link her channel to you in the server when we're done. But I mean I've linked it before. But I'll link it again.
Share the next comment as well. No.
Yes. Oh, this one?
Yeah.
This fight against the bear is gonna be great. Yes.
Yes, it is.
It's gonna be amazing.
Full of awesomeness.
So
Rule
yeah,
of cool up 100.
pretty much like the bears can lop off arms in one swipe. The beast collided with the tree and shook it to its roots. Gods, this thing was big. Big, that's what she said. Must weigh at least 900 pounds. It was huge. The beast's mistake gave John the chance to fire loose arrows, to fire 3 arrows into its back legs, 1 in its left leg and 2 in its right. That'll hopefully slow it down and give him more time to pick its shots. The bear responded with a pained roar in John's direction. It made for John, but it was evident the animal was labored in its movement.
I used to be an adventurer like you when I took an arrow to the knee.
Oh no, he took 3 arrows in the knee.
Yeah. Well, it's a bear, so it can tank more.
John made for another arrow, pulled his bowstring back and fired. Loosed. He was aiming between the beast's eyes, but missed and struck it right in the muzzle. The bear didn't react well to that as it cried out in pain and tried to claw the arrow out itself. This gave John the opening to finish the job, but as he reached out for one last arrow, he realized one thing. Fuck, I'm almost hiccuping. He had no arrows left. Oh no.
Dum dum dum.
Where are the rest of them? John thought. Who steals arrows? Sigh. Arya. John knew she practiced in the Godswood with her bow. What?
Because that's the first thought someone has in that situation. Not
Oh,
panic.
yes. Like, not panic. Well, not like, how am I going to survive this? Where are my arrows? Who took them? Oh, it's Arya. Screw that. That mischievous child. How dare she take my arrows? Like he's more like annoyed about being inconvenienced than like scared to die.
I mean, do you really expect a freaking bear to kill Jon Snow?
Look, man. I'm hoping. John knew she practiced in the Godswood with her bow, no doubt borrowed some arrows and forgot to put them back. Suppose it serves me right for not checking. Like, he's still thinking about it. Like, okay. Hopefully, this wasn't the reason John didn't survive. The guilt would smash his little sister to pieces if she found out. John sighed. Better make sure I survived then.
Yeah, that's a reason to survive, so your sister doesn't feel guilty.
Yeah, like
for
it's
taking
not
your arrows.
It's not like I don't want to die. I want to make some. Like he had an entire monologue up there about needing to survive to make something of himself, and now it's like better make sure I survive so my sister doesn't become sad.
Yeah.
He's gonna go Yakuza on it and beat the bear bare hand. Okay.
Yep.
He'll break its jaw wide open with his bare hand. Oh, guys, no, stop it. Hey, he has a. I'm gonna guess you said knife, but I'm gonna read it how you wrote it because I'm a jerk. He has a kinfei.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a kinfei. Dropping his bow and empty quiver, John flanked the distressed grizzly and slowly pulled his dirk from his hip. The bear was too busy tackling the lodged arrow in his muzzle to notice John approaching from the rear.
I swear it's intentional. This can't be an accident.
And with the small opening he needed, John mounted the bear from behind and drove his dirk into the side of the beast's head. Oh no! Oh, resulting in the instant death of the struggling animal and the collapse of both the bear and John onto the ground. Thank the gods.
I guess you could call this a grisly death.
Oh no! Oh no! I shouldn't laugh at this. This is bad. No. You should be ashamed of yourself for that one. No, he's gonna dirk it in the ring. Throw the kinfei and hit it in the eye. Thank the gods, John said as he removed the dirks from the bear's head. He just laid there on top of the warm body of fur and caught his barrel. So even this is wrong. What a rush! Oh no! Yeah, it's a rush. Also, when you never mind. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna go there. Making a quick decision, he began skinning the bear with his dirk. Oh no! I've always wanted a cloak made from bear fur. This will hopefully keep me warm whilst I'm out at sea.
What did he plan before he was killed? Well, never mind.
I don't know. Probably steal someone else's cloak. His Lord Stark. I should just spat my drink everywhere. At Grizzly Death, yes. It's good I wasn't drinking when he said it.
You all fought it.
Look, I'm never going to admit that it was funny. No one will.
You did find the sick burn funny, though.
Yeah, sick burn. Okay, sick burn was well timed. Dazzler at sea. Yeah, his entire plan is to sail west of Westeros.
Yeah. And you will never guess where he ends up, but that's for next chapter.
Yeah, like we'll finish this chapter, but I mean we won't. We'll be doing this next week as well, so you don't have to worry about that. But for now, we're doing chapter 2. John managed to finish skinning the animal, but not without making a huge mess. The ground and himself was covered in blood, and would no doubt attract some more predators his way if he didn't get a move on. John moved to strap his bow over his shoulder, placed his dirk back on his belt, draped the bear fur over his other shoulder, and started his brisk walk back towards Winterfell. Hopefully, the bear carcass that was left would be a welcome distraction for him to get out unscathed. See, you would think that, but from what I've seen, for the most part, predator animals are generally not touched by other animals, unless it's like ants.
Also, he's covered in blood. Doesn't he smell like a mile away?
Like anything downwind of him is gonna know where he is. Because animals are like specifically evolved to smell these sort of things and track them. Blood means food and all that. And yes, a dirk is indeed not for skinning animals. And yes, he's going to the edge of the world, which our beloved author here continually refers to it as Earth, and not Westeros or Planetos or whatever, or just the world. 20 minutes into his journey back, he caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of his eye. Oh gods, now what? He was out of arrows. This would be a close combat encounter, and John wasn't confident he could take on another bear or a wolf or whatever it was without his arrows. He didn't have his sword either because that was still on his horse. He would have to use his dirk and his bare hands. Yep. No.
But he has to know what he has written there.
I'm being completely serious here. Serious mode 0. I am 100%.
Next sentence.
I'm not gonna laugh. Could I batter a wolf with my bare hands, John Winter? No, probably not, you fucking idiot. John concluded. John really needed to get a better grip on his wolf's blood, or he would end up fighting something he really had no right fighting and suffering the consequences. Oh, right, like a bear. Kind of almost like a bear that he shouldn't.
John with his bare hands, his wolf blood, and his dragon's bit? I don't know.
He's so cool, man. He's 14
Dragon.
years old, as tall as his father, as tall as Ned Stark, and as muscled. And he's defeating bears and fighting 3 guards at the same time. And he broke Todd's nose. Fuck Todd. Nobody likes Todd.
And Fiends.
And Theon, and his fingers too. Screw through Theon. He doesn't deserve any mercy, even though he has done nothing wrong.
I mean,
Bash him anyway.
He's a great choice, so his entire existence is doing something wrong.
Yes, you're right. The beast he would be fighting emerged from the bushes and trees, and thankfully it wasn't an adversary. It was his horse. Oh, so much for all of this. The
Drama.
gods are really looking down on me tonight. John swiftly mounted his horse, checked to see he still had his belongings, and rode off towards Winterfell. Within 15 minutes of riding, he exited the woods and was trotting through Wintertown. He was garnering some queer looks and some whispers, but that was probably because of the bear fur and the layer of blood he was caked in and not the usual reason. It's not like he gave a fuck at what they said about him anymore. Fuck him. Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Fuck him. He was more interested in getting to his chambers and sorting himself out. He was in dire need of a bath, and it couldn't come sooner. Yes, the gods are looking down on him. First, the fight with 3 men, then a bear. Yeah, he did this all in the same day. Just take that, keep that in mind. He beat the crap out of 3 different guys without using his sword or anything. He just punched them out. Left for the Godswood. Left the god. Had the conversation with his uncle. Left the Godswood. Rode off into the damned Wolfswood. And look, riding a horse, it's not easy work. You get exhausted riding a horse.
Not Jon Snow.
Not Jon Snow. He's fine. He's totally fine. After doing all of this, he's totally fine. And then a bear shows up and he kills it. And then he comes back. Covered in blood because he's so cool.
The only thing that was missing was a dragon just flying down to him and bowing to him.
Yeah, like just bowing to him. John, you are the best. None of us can compare. Not even dragons can come close to you.
But that will be in the future chapters, so...
Yeah, I'm sure. Ned was on his way to the main hall, accompanied by Robb, when Jory, captain of the household guard, Jory, appeared at the end of the corridor with an odd look on his face. Now what's the matter? I cannot wait for my bed and for this day to end. Lord Stark, Lord Robb, Jory nodded as he greeted them. Oh no, he didn't mention that Jory is the captain of the household guard. Damn.
Is Robb called a lord at this point in time?
I mean, yeah. He's at the very least a lordling. You want bowing dragons? I got a story for you. Link it in the Discord channel. We'll look at it.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be a nice long list of backlog that we can just go through every week. Lord Stark, you wished for me to inform you when John had returned. Finally, Ned thought. Thanks for letting me know, Jory. Thanks, said Lord Stark. Thanks. I assume he's in the main hall for supper then.
A comment from Marcus.
Oh, let me see. It seems John has returned and has murdered someone and is covered in blood. Yep.
Yeah.
John's going to the Sims to wash up. He was in a bit of a state when he returned, Jory replied. Ned went nub. In a state. What kind of state? Probably Ohio. He's okay, isn't he? Ned had all sorts of scenarios playing through his mind. Lia wouldn't forgive him. He's okay, Lord Stark. John assured me that none of the blood was his. John assured me that none of the blood was his. Why wouldn't you, take him, detain him or something? Maybe he committed murder. Considering he's been unstable for the past few days / weeks. Jory, captain of the household guard, announced. Lord Stark didn't look pleased with the casualness of the statement, so Jory explained. He returned through the gates, unrecognizable from a distance. He was covered from head to toe in blood, but he assured me it wasn't his blood. Told me he got ambushed by a grizzly and confiscated his skin for spooking him. He's so funny. He confiscated his skin like he confiscated a cell phone from a student in school.
Yes.
Jory chuckled. Hey, Jory's finding it funny. He chuckled. Thank you for telling me this, author. I didn't realize he was amused by this entire thing.
Has the author actually written set anywhere yet?
No. He has not. He assured me that all of the blood was his victims. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have believed him if it weren't for the huge bear pelt he was carrying with him. Told me he wasn't too clever at skinning large animals and made a huge mess of himself. Look, when you're skinning an animal and you make a mess, the mess is on your hands. It's not head to toe. It's not like you cut a vein and you get sprayed all over.
Well, he put the bear pelt over himself, so maybe it was still covered in blood and it all dripped on him.
No, that's a stretch. That's a stretch.
But it could explain it.
It could. That's fair. He killed a grizzly on his own. Rob looked shocked but impressed. I'm sure you can't do that, Rob, because you're not getting tall and muscular like John is. You're nothing. You're nothing, Rob.
Exactly.
Anime logic, yes, of course. Like I said, that pelt he's got proved his word. A fine trophy. Jory finished as all three men reached the main hall. Rob is not a man. He's 14. I'm gonna kill him.
But John is.
What about John?
John is a man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A manly man. All the maids love him. I'm gonna kill him. Is he trying to give me a heart attack? He was impressed with such a feat. I feel like the author has a feet thing, but I'm not gonna go there.
No, Ned has a feet.
Well, him too. But my God, did he want to throttle him for getting into that kind of situation in the first place? By gods, old gods, but by the gods, or something like that. Oh, Lia, have you made him extra difficult just to punish me? Yes, the author has indeed made him extra difficult just to punish you.
Technically, it's your own fault, so...
Dylan, you don't even skin an animal without draining it first. Correct. You hold it upside down or try to angle it in a way so that the blood drains out, and then you cut one of the main veins and just let it all drain out.
Well, technically, John probably doesn't know that. I mean...
No, he's read books on it. You can't tell me he hasn't. Because he's getting ready.
Yes, but it hasn't mentioned he read a book about how to pelt animals.
See, I'm gonna, you know that statement you just said there? I'm gonna pretend you didn't actually say it. Isn't this Ned's fault? Yes. Indeed it is.
Everything is Ned's fault in this story.
Pretty much.
And the three men. Lyanna's.
Yeah, Lyanna's fault as well. The three men entered the main hall together. Jory took his post by the door, because he's the guard, the captain of the guard, whilst Ned and Rob walked up the high table and took their seats. Wait, well, doesn't he get to eat though? Give the guy a break here. Catelyn was sat in her favorite spot with Sansa to her left, with Bran sat next to her. Arya and Rickon were sat all the way to the right side of the table, and it was clear by the look Arya was giving Sansa that something had happened. What's all this then? Ned asked as he and Rob took their seats. Oh, I'm surprised they didn't just get sat there.
By Catelyn.
Children being children, Ned. Nothing to worry about, Catelyn replied as she took a sip from her goblet. Ned turned to Arya. What's the matter with you then, little one? Sansa said Jon should just leave and go live in the woods that he likes running off to. She said if he was gonna act like a wild animal, he should go live with them. Arya answered, burning a hole in Sansa's head with her glare. Maybe I'll join him if that happens. Sansa is right, Arya. Sansa is right.
Yes.
I'm perpetually surprised by Sansa here. Like, she is such a good person. It's, sorry? In that kind of life, wouldn't he have been hunting before and so know this stuff? Yes, his father would have taken him on a hunting trip before, and he would have been, at the very least, shown the procedure. He's 14. And he's a bastard anyway, so he has to do the grunt work.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
You will do no such thing, young lady. Now eat your meal and stop trying to start an argument with your sister, Catelyn said. Oh, said.
Oh my god.
It happened. I wasn't being cruel. I was just saying if he enjoys going to the woods all the time, that he would feel more suited there, especially with his recent behavior, Sansa argued. It is indeed a fine argument. Good job,
Yeah.
Sansa.
Good job,
You
Sansa.
have, if I had a hat on, I would tip it for you. He's not some stray dog you can just get rid of because you don't like him. He's a living person and he's our brother. Arya passionately argued back.
Well, he doesn't act like that, does he now?
Would you mind checking the Discord for my latest thoughts? Maybe later. I got this stuff on 2 screens, so I don't want to like interrupt myself. When we're done, we're like more than halfway through this chapter, and after this we'll just end it. Because we've been at this for, oh wow, almost 3 hours. Wow. Like Ryle will need to sleep soon, anyway.
Yep.
So we should I'd rather not waste the time. Arya, I won't tell you again. Eat your supper and stop with this nonsense about your half-brother, Catelyn warned. He's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. He looks like a full brother to me, Arya returned as Rickon giggled at her response.
Wow.
Yep.
Sound argument there.
Indeed. But then again, Arya is a child.
Yes,
Ned.
but in the context of the story, this will be like, wow, she just wrecked Catelyn. Catelyn, actually.
Lady Cuntlin, the thunder cunt. Ned took charge of the situation. Enough. It's been a long day, and I just want to have a nice quiet supper with my family. Is that too much to ask?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is. Sorry, father, Arya and Sansa said in unison as Sansa looked down, but Arya was still giving her a death stare. All right then, Ned finished. It was relatively quiet for a good few minutes as people ate their food and quietly chatted. It was relatively quiet. People quietly chatted, but that was broken when Rob decided to share Jon's story with Arya. He did what? Arya exclaimed as Catelyn glared at her. Killed a grizzly bear, apparently. Still haven't seen the pelt myself yet, but I trust Jory wouldn't lie about something like that, Rob explained as the rest of the table took notice of the conversation. Arya's eyes lit up. Wow, I can't wait to see it. I bet the story is even better. Arya looked excited at the prospect of seeing the pelt and hearing a new story, and Rickon looked like a ball of energy, ready to explode at any minute. What happened? Jon saw a grizzly bear? Bran asked, obviously missing parts and unable to hear properly, being sat at the other end of the table.
Well, okay, for him, he probably was set there.
Yeah. Why would he choose to sit next to those people when he could sit... Shit, I'm yawning. When he could sit next to his brothers and sisters. Yeah, and he killed it and skinned it for its pelt. Arya replied, looking proud of her brother. Really? That's amazing. Bran looked equally amazed at Jon's antics.
Antics.
Antics. Because, it's an antic getting attacked by an animal and killing it
With your bare hands.
with your bare hands. Catelyn told them both to quiet down. Quiet down and finish their supper. Arya didn't look best pleased with her mother shutting down her conversations whenever Jon was the topic of discussion, but complied. Better fucking comply, Arya. You won't know what happens. As the family was just coming to the end of their meal, the main door slowly opened and Jon snuck in and claimed one of the seats near the entrance. I half expected him to just burst in like he owns the place.
And go up to the table.
Like, hey fam, what's up? I killed a bear today and I punched 3 guards out because I'm so cool.
Yeah.
He looked freshly bathed. What?
He's too cool for that.
Oh yeah. He's humble. All right.
I will now brood silently in the corner.
Of course. He's a humble man. I just realized Jon's Heracles and reincarnated, pretty much. Dazzler. Oof, I had a phone call. All good, man. It's all good. We're all chill here. Okay. He looked freshly bathed with his curly dark hair still showing its dampness. Oh my god. Ned was the only person to notice him enter, so he took the chance to observe him from a distance, in the hopes of seeing any subtle signs that would explain his recent attitude. He had a rough idea what it was about, and Bran earlier seemed to have the same idea, that one word, bastard. To start off with, he was sat on his own, right in the dimly lit corner of the room. He'd always been a boy who enjoyed the peace and quiet of his own company, so that wasn't a red flag. Red flag?
I mean, do bulls exist in this world? I don't know.
Not sure either.
I don't think toreros exist.
What does he have to do with Hercules? Asked Dylan.
Too bad we don't have Myth here anymore. He would explain it.
Yep. But the legend, he needs to rest. He called over one of the maids to ask
Thought he
her.
needed to eat.
Oh, I don't know. When you eat, you need to rest after. Don't you?
No.
I do. Sleep like a baby after I eat. In fact, I'm going to eat after we're done here. He called over one of the maids to ask her if there was any supper left. She replied that she would fetch him some. What a nice girl. Kindness of her heart. Looked down and blushed. Oh, okay, never mind. As she walked away to tend to her duties. Ned wasn't surprised at the girl's actions. Jon had been filling out and maturing rather nicely, if the reactions from some of the girls around Winterfell and Wintertown were anything to go by. Jon's filling out, guys. He just hoped Jon wouldn't fall for the temptation. Thankfully, Ned was the only one who noticed the girl, as Jon seemed to be in a world of his own at the moment. Does this guy not like the word sitting? Yes. He just likes having them sat places.
He sets everyone down. Basically able to take down Beast easily, has become super strong, super handsome, gone through puberty very fast. Exactly.
Yeah, like Dylan, I know it's not like the actual myths of Hercules, but he's talking about how strong he is, how handsome and strong and tall and muscled, and everybody loves him, and he can defeat monsters that he has no right being able to defeat.
And going through puberty really
and
fast.
going through puberty very fast, yes. No, he literally doesn't do anything. Okay, we read this.
Also, the tragedy here is that he was stolen from his real family.
Yes. He seemed so lost in his thoughts. Ned really wished he could help him, but he wouldn't talk to him. And when he looked like he was about to open up, he would ask about his mother. Ned would tell him, but he was very confident John would take it the wrong way. And rightfully so, Ned mused. In every scenario that ran through his head, every single outcome had a negative impact, whether it be him or John. Ned was sure the rest of the family would be shocked, but accepting with the revelation. But if John decided to leave because of it, they wouldn't forgive me.
Me. Third person to first person, of course.
What a hero. I like this. Ned returned his attention back to John as the maid returned with his supper. Again, he seemed to be concentrating really hard on something. His furrowed brow and his famous brooding expression a dead giveaway. Famous. He was tapping his finger with no rhythm whatsoever. Was he counting something?
If you count something, it has a rhythm, doesn't it?
Indeed. Indeed it does. The quiet study of John was broken when Arya noticed him and broke the silence. Broke silence. John! Arya shouted as she shot up from her seat and made her way towards him. Catelyn tried to stop her from acknowledging John, but one look from Ned was all that was needed to silently warn his wife. Damn thunder cunt. Stop doing this.
Oh.
Does Ned have a crush on his nephew? Yes.
Every thought is about how tall and muscular John is, so yes. He obviously does.
All the ladies love him. He's tall and muscular, and his hair is still damp. Like it gets you excited.
Ned is super jealous. He killed a grizzly by himself.
Do you think Ned Stark could kill a grizzly? No. He's nothing. He's nothing compared to John. She was trying too hard to separate her children from John, and it was slowly wearing Ned down. She had managed to create a barrier between Sansa and John, but was evidently not successful yet with the rest of them as Rickon too shot up and ran across to his older brother. No, I'm pretty sure the barrier between Sansa and John is because John punched Theon in the nose and broke two of his fingers, and he also broke Todd's nose.
It's because John is a douchebag.
Yeah, it's because John is indeed a douchebag.
Sansa doesn't want to deal with douchebags. So
pretty much, like who would want to deal with a douchebag? Seriously. What can I do for you, milady? Oh no. John replied with a smirk, tipping his fedora. Ooh, now then, you little monster, John said as he lifted Rickon so he could sit on his lap.
That's a great quote, Marcus. All great
harems need at least one male. I mean, yes. Arya replied with a punch to John's arm. Don't call me that, stupid. You know I hate all that rubbish. Can we see your bear? Rickon butted in, a look of excitement on his face. My bear, John replied, confused. No, Rick, he's got a bear pelt. He didn't bring the bear back with him. You didn't, did you? Arya asked, questionably. How do you... What?
Questionably.
This is English here.
But he said sad.
Yeah, so, okay. I mean, yeah, said.
That's something.
But it's a very questionable type of saying, all right?
Yeah. Ask.
Sorry, but the only grizzly beast that's in this keep is sat on my lap, as John tickled Rickon, filling the hall with his laughter. Stop, I surrender, Rickon replied as John stopped his onslaught. So, did you really kill a grizzly bear? Arya asked. I did, but I didn't go searching for it. I was ambushed by it, and the only way I was to escape was if I could vanquish my furry foe, John replied as he exaggerated his voice to help charm the story to Rickon, who was staring at John like he was one of those heroes from his stories. Oh my god. Okay, John Epstein. Let me rephrase that. All great harems need at least one male other than the main character. I don't know about that. I don't know about harems being great in the first place, buddy.
You say that.
What happened next? Rickon replied as Arya took a seat next to John. He could see in his peripheral vision that everyone apart from Catelyn was also listening on John's tale. Oh, come on, you know Catelyn is listening. Well, all of a sudden, he was minding his own business after all. The great beast bolted towards the tree I was sat under and nearly caught me if I hadn't rolled out of the way to grab my bow. You see, I needed to slow the grizzly down, so I put a couple of arrows into its legs. Grizzly bears are incredibly fast for their size. When I ran into the tree, I swear I felt the roots shake under my feet. John continued, capturing everyone's full attention. Even Sansa couldn't help listening to a good story.
No, Sansa, you were doing so well. Yeah, Marcus, you're not Dylan.
Thank you for your retraction.
What is your Discord name?
I think it's GamesWeaver, I'm not sure. The original pairing for Jon in the Song of Ice and Fire, according to GRM, is Arya. Yeah, I remember that. He wanted him to hook up with Arya, which was really weird.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, like the original draft, the pairing was Jon and Arya.
That's creepy.
Yes.
Like with Daenerys, you could say, okay, she's his aunt, but they never met before, so I mean,
kind of works.
But with someone he grew up with, that's a bit ew.
Very, very iffy. Yes, Dazzler. Yes.
Fenian.
I went to finish the fight with an arrow in between the eyes. But the beast moved just as I released my arrow, and it hit it right up its nose. Jon continued as he tapped Arya's nose. Rickon giggled, and Bran had a smile on his face. Now, I don't know about you, but when I've got a really nasty bogey up my nose, I make it my mission to extract it from its lair. So you can imagine what the bear was trying to do with an arrow up there as well. Jon explained as Arya and Rickon started giggling. Sansa made a face, and Catelyn stared daggers at Ron.
You could say he couldn't bear it.
All right. Let's see. You say it better, Ryle.
Seriously, Deutschman?
You are Deutschman.
Indeed.
You will be referred to as such in the near future, from here on out.
Nope.
Okay, fine. So, with the beast distracted, I reached for another arrow to finally put it out of its misery. But as I went for another arrow, I realized I was out. What is this, Call of Duty? You have another mag? I'm out. Some of them had magically disappeared, Jon said. He slowly turned to Arya, who had the decency to look guilty. I was gonna put them back, I swear. I just forgot. Sorry, Arya explained. She gave Jon her famous wide-eyed look whenever she tried to get out of trouble. Jon accepted her excuse and carried on with his tale. Well, so much for we had a moment in the story where he was gonna live for his sister so she wouldn't feel guilty, and this entire moment happened, and he just carries on all right, doesn't even acknowledge it. Well, it doesn't acknowledge it besides the 3 words here, accepted is her excuse. Well, since I'd run out of arrows, I had to rethink my strategy. Unfortunately, my sword was on my horse, and that had bolted away. It bolted away because you untied it, you idiot. So all I had left was the dirk on my belt, Jon explained, as the bear was busy with the arrow up its snoot. I had the opportunity to jump the bear from behind and thrust my dirk into its head. Thus, vanquishing the beast. Jon, yeah, he definitely finished in there. I'm going to hell. Weren't you scared? Rickon asked. I was, but you remember what Father told you? Rickon shook his head. It is the only time a man can be brave when he's afraid, John explained. Ned was surprised John had remembered him saying that.
Really?
John is so mature.
No.
Superman, I like this. Snoot. I know. Snoot. It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Did you take its belt? Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Oh my god. I can do this. I did. But I made a huge mess of myself in the process. Blood everywhere. John chuckled. I'll show it to you before you go to bed. It's so thick, I'll probably lose the both of you in it, John said with a grin. So thick. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is definitely wrong.
Continue.
Also, I'll show it to you both. Does he mean the blood or the pelt?
He will show the pelt to Arya. And,
I know, but the way it's written. I'll meet you in Hell Zero. I've got a lot set aside for you. Oh, you meant pot. Oh yeah. Have you ever seen that movie, Ryle?
No.
I'll link it to you. It's a movie on Netflix that we saw. It's fucking great.
All right.
We'll do it after. I mean, yeah. We've both finished our suppers, so we'll just wait here for you to finish, Arya suggested, clearly fishing for John to get a move on with his own meal. Give me 5 minutes and I'm all yours, John replied. And, with a clear of his bowl and a nod in Ned's direction, John and his two shadows left the hall.
So now where are his shadows?
Yes. They are now Arthur Dane. He is all right, isn't he, father? He barely acknowledged our table. Didn't you have a word with him earlier? Rob inquired when the three of them had left the hall. Ned sighed. I did have a word with him. I think he's just feeling a bit unwanted at the moment. Sir Roderick had suggested grooming him to be the next Master-at-Arms after he's retired. I agreed with him. It's no secret John is very gifted when it comes to swordplay, and it would not only give him more purpose that he feels he's lacking at the moment, but it would also keep John in Winterfell for years to come. Something I think you and me both have been worrying about recently. It's not a bad plan. If this was canon and this was the plan, this would be a good plan. Having John as the Master-at-Arms so that he and Rob could just clean house.
Yeah, and Catelyn will be thrilled by that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But she couldn't do anything if he did that.
I mean, I guess she could write to her father.
Oh my god. Wait till my father hears about this.
I mean, she did pull a Malfoy before, so she can do it again.
I'm so sorry, but this sounds so dirty. I just read it out to someone and they assumed they meant it as sexual. Dude, I know.
Every line in this fanfiction is written with innuendo, I swear.
It's painful. Like, I read it and I think to myself, no, there's no way. There's no way.
Like in the next chapter, the author even acknowledges that he's written innuendo. Or like the chapter after. Chapter 4 with the Swordmaster. Swordmaster.
If you say so, father, Rob replied, but he didn't look confident with Ned's plan. Do you not think that would help? Ned asked. I don't know. It just seems to me that he can't wait to get out. He's already got 1 foot out the door with all the time he spends in the Wolfswood, and Mother and Sansa aren't exactly welcoming with him. Rob said and continued. If he'd heard Sansa's suggestion about living in the woods, he wouldn't have taken it as an insult. He'd have taken it as a genuine possibility for him. He's already proven he can handle himself out in the wild if that story about the bear is anything to go by, and I'm concerned he's gonna realize that there's nothing stopping him from going through with it, Rob finished. I'm pretty sure he's already realized this.
Big brain Rob moment.
Big brain. It's so painful. Hurry up and get to chapter 4. Oh, we won't be getting there today, buddy.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can narrate without dying. Ned had a lot to think about. Point of view change. John chuckled as he watched Arya and Rickon run ahead of him toward his chambers, a sadness washing over him as he realized that tonight will be the last night he spent with them for a while. I can't be thinking like that. I have to leave for my own sake. No backing out. I know. Don't worry, buddy. As he followed them into his chambers, he realized he'd left all the books about sailing and fishing he'd been reading from the library all over his desk, and unfortunately Arya picked up on them pretty fast. It's books. Why would Arya freak out about a bunch of books on his desk?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Like, what are these? She asked suspiciously.
Books.
He had to think fast on his feet. Just some light reading. Was interested in how to fish efficiently in the rivers. He hated lying to Arya, but he had to. If she found out the real reason he was learning to fish, she would tell father. Then John would be made a prisoner in his own home. Oh, okay. Okay, that was easy. She accepted. But John knew she was suspicious. Okay, never mind. So, where's this belt? Arya asked, but Rickon already found it. Ew, why is it so wet? Just gonna take a minute. Rickon asked as he had the thing draped over him.
You
What?
find innuendo everywhere. Like, this one is normal.
I know, but it bothers me anyway. Get that off, Rick. Rick. I washed it in the bathtub after I used it myself and left it to dry in front of the fireplace, John said as he removed the pelt from Rickon, his tiny body emerging from its depths, just like the pelt gave birth to him.
Fenian, they didn't get over the Lannisters. I mean, it caused a war. Did you forget that part?
And it wouldn't be so weird John getting with Arya, except the age difference, because Lance was incestuous. Yeah, I mean, there was a huge war. I wouldn't say they got over it. I mean, even Tywin was like completely shocked when the truth was revealed, or rather, when his own children broke the truth on him. Yeah, the public, the public just look for the next bit of drama, if that makes sense. Oh, outside the book.
Okay, that's something else.
Yeah, that's something else completely different. You're right. You should have heard the maid when she came to clean out the tub. She sounded like she was gonna throw up when she found all the blood and bits left in there. John chuckled. Are you gonna make a cloak out of it? Sansa might help if it involves anything with a needle and thread, Arya asked. I haven't decided yet, but most probably. I've always wanted a bearskin cloak, John proclaimed. I proclaim that I want a bearskin cloak.
Yeah. Why is this author so allergic to the word set?
I don't know. He's weird. I like ask, proclaim, chuckle. Chuckle. Arya went and joined Rickon, who was sat. He's also allergic to saying sitting on John's bed, and looked up at John with those slate eyes of hers, almost as if she was trying to find something. Are you okay, John? Arya asked in such a sincere way that it almost made him tear up. Oh no. I shouldn't have favorites, but I just can't help it with Arya. You see, knowing that the original author's intent with the pairing, this makes me cringe. What makes you ask that? John asked. Arya was clearly thinking on how to word her next sentence. I don't know. Lately, you've just looked fed up with everybody, that's all, Arya answered. Is this about me breaking Squid Kid's no? John replied. Squid Kid? Theon Greyjoy, the Squid Kid.
Yeah.
He's a Squid Kid. Arya chuckled. No, not that. He deserves that. He deserves a lot more. But you were the only one to bring him down a peg. Arya then continued, no, it's more, you seem more outspoken whenever somebody mocks you. Father says it's the wolf's blood coming through. Apparently I'm going through the change. So that's probably why I have a shorter fuse, Jon answered. Your parents are gonna go insane when it happens to you two. Gonna. Jon chuckled as he deflected. Arya was hitting too close to home with her evaluation of him. Jon has had wolf's blood all his life, but he's had to learn to control it. Him coming of age had not changed the situation with it either, so he knew it wasn't that. It was more a self-loathing issue that he had, and he'd realized he had to discover himself to be truly happy. How do you know it's not this author's intent? You know, I actually don't know. One of the tags was incest. That much I know. So we might see it.
Yeah.
Arya didn't look convinced. Are you sure? She asked as she nibbled on her lower lip. Oh no.
Although it also says Jon Daenerys, so that's probably the incest part.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. I'm positive, Arya. Positive. Do people say positive in the old days?
Probably.
We'll have to look it up. But for now, let's assume they don't and make fun of it. Positive. Positive ion charge.
I mean, you always get hung up about the word gonna. I think that was used back in the old days. I mean, it's a obvious abbreviation of a word.
Mm-hmm. I'll be fine, honestly. I'm getting annoyed with this conversation and I haven't bitten your head off, so it's not like I'm going insane, is it? Jon replied. He wanted this topic of conversation over for many reasons, the main one being the fact that he could feel his soul being chipped away bit by bit every time he lied to his little sister. Oh no. Yeah, but that doesn't count. I'm your favorite sister and you love me, Arya replied cheekily. Hey, what about me? Rickon exclaimed. You're my favorite sister and I love you too, Rick, Jon smiled. Good, Rickon replied with a smile as he carried on playing with the bear fur, completely oblivious to what Jon had just said.
Aww.
Oh, he's so cute. He's a little boy. He didn't realize he got made fun of by his elder brother. He's so adorable. It's not cringe at all. What are you talking about, Dylan? This is not cringe.
Yeah, Dylan.
This is top tier writing right here. I could not hope to match this man. I am not good enough to be his equal.
No, you're better. So
I was gonna say that. I was just gonna. Jon looked through his window and knew he needed to get a couple hours sleep before he departed. So, with that, he caught Arya and Rickon in a big group hug, which lasted longer than his normal ones. Well, how long do his normal ones last? And escorted them back to their wing of the keep, the family wing, Jon thought bitterly. God damn it, get over it. He said goodnight to each of them as he hugged them one last time before making a swift getaway back to his chambers before he became a tear mess. Okay, so using before many times in a row in the same sentence kind of just destroy it. You couldn't lower yourself this far if you tried, Zero. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at what happens if I try. Already stop flirting with your half brother. That's actually your cousin. Pretty much. Stay strong, Jon. He returned to his chamber and collapsed on his bed. He just let the tiredness take hold of him. Oh, only now is he tired. You know, like when he was beating the crap out of 3 guards, you know, that was fine. When he rode hard in the Wolfswood, perfectly all right. Nothing to see there. When he fought a bear, shot arrows in quick succession that would usually basically make someone have muscle pain in the aftermath because you had to exert yourself in ridiculous ways. Pulling bowstrings is not an easy thing to do if the bow is heavy enough. If the string pull is heavy enough, is what I mean.
yeah, but he trained for it, and also he's Jon Snow. Your
He's Jon
argument is
Snow.
invalid.
Yeah, but he comes back, has a bath, has dinner, brings the 2 kids to his room and shows them the bear pelt, takes them back to their wing, and then Then he lets the tiredness take care of him. And yes, you needed to hear the slaps.
Yeah.
John later woke up groggy and miserable. It was pitch black out. Pitch Black, the movie with Vin Diesel. He must have had 4 or 5 hours sleep. He wasn't sure, but he knew it was time to get packed. He got up and picked up the books he had borrowed off his desk and carried them under his arm. He then grabbed the empty sack he'd managed to obtain, exited his chambers, and made his way towards the library. John, a master of keeping to the shadows all his life. Oh, calm down. You're not a faceless man. Managed to return the books to their rightful place without a problem. His next task.
Having them anyway.
Yeah, he's probably better. You're right. It's not, and he was moving while shooting. Yes, he was indeed moving while shooting, and it takes a toll. It doesn't matter how much you train for it. If you suddenly do the movements without actual muscle preparations like calisthenics and such things, you're gonna get destroyed. He's Chaz Snow. Yes, he is. His next task was to acquire some rations for his journey. He knew he'd have to restock at the stony shore, so he didn't plan on borrowing much. With that, he made his way towards the kitchens, but not without nearly getting caught by a guard. He managed to dart into an alcove just before the guard came around the corner into the corridor he was in. Close one.
Yeah, that scene couldn't have been written better at all.
Yep. He arrived in the kitchens and quickly filled up his sack with apples, hardtack, and some dry beef jerky. Why didn't he have another sack, just for extra supplies? But whatever. I'm gonna ignore it. He didn't grab any water, as he'd already filled 3 skins up in a stream he knew about in the Wolfswood earlier that day. So not only did he fight a bear, he also went to the river, filled up the skin, went back to the horse. Dude, that kind of thing takes time. The dishonorable cur, yes, he's pretty dishonorable now.
Stealing, yeah, but Dylan, he isn't stealing. He's the prince. Everything belongs to him anyway. So
Dazzler, more like Jeffrey Snow. With his sack full, he made haste back to his chambers. I know. I need a moment here. I tried to ignore it. I couldn't. So just this is how mature we are in this conversation.
We don't have to be mature about this fan fiction.
He made haste back to his chambers, keeping an extra eye out for patrols. Back inside his room, John tied up his sack, washed his face in the bowl of water that was left for him in the morning, and proceeded to change into his warmest clothing. All black, of course, because he's Jon Snow and he's cool. He looks good in black because he's so muscly and tall, and just getting excited again.
But it won't have any repercussions if he gets caught.
Yep.
Wearing black.
John then placed the 6 sealed notes he had written individually for each of his siblings and his father on his desk, so that they could be found the next day when he'll be long gone. Ominous. The notes themselves were just him saying he's sorry he didn't say goodbye in person, that they aren't the reason he left, and that he will always love them, and he hopes they will one day forgive him for leaving. I'm pretty sure that they are the reason he left.
Yeah. Well, his father is.
His father's note explained that he didn't want to come in between him and his wife anymore, that he felt stagnant and useless in his day-to-day life, that he just wasn't happy anymore, that he wanted to enter the world and make a life for himself and not others. John also mentioned that he didn't understand his reluctance to tell him about his mother, that he hoped the information he kept from John was worth it for whatever the reason. John shouldn't have written that last part about his mother, but he was too bitter at the thought of it all. He's the main character. In class, he sits in the second to back row next to the window.
Yeah.
Paper is expensive, though. Yeah, he probably stole money from Rob to get the paper. Like he just stole lots of food just now. John pulled on his boots. But do we really know that they're his boots? He probably stole them from Rob. Wait, no, he's taller than Rob, and Rob isn't the same. Yeah, never mind. He's taller and more muscled, though, so this couldn't work. Pulled on his black cloak, with a bow slung over one shoulder, his bear pelt rolled up and hung over the other shoulder, a quiver full of arrows on his back, and his sword and dirk strapped to his hip. John grabbed a sack of supplies, a bag of gold dragons he'd been saving up for the year, and headed out of the keep. He knew if somebody saw him, he was busted. So he hurried down towards the godswood and made one last prayer to the old gods. Because, you know, he needs to hurry, but he still has to go to the godswood and make a prayer. A prayer keeping his family safe, and another prayer for a fruitful journey on the suicide mission he was going on. So why not pray in the wolf's wood? There are trees there that you could visit. But it's not our duty to judge.
Oh wait, sorry, I skipped over the part with a bag of gold dragons. We talked about that last time.
Wait, where?
A bag of gold dragons.
No, I didn't skip it.
Yes, but
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I think I
how
know what you mean.
ridiculous it is to have a bag full of gold dragons.
Yeah, like for a bastard to have a bag of gold dragons. I understand if Rob had a bag of gold dragons because he's the heir, and maybe Sansa to have like a small pouch. But John is the bastard, and he didn't need, like, he is fed by his father at all times, and he's taken care of. And you know, he's probably given some kind of allowance, but I don't think Ned would give him gold dragons, especially considering that a few coppers get you a meal. So like, gold dragons is like buying the entire inn. It's weird.
Like maybe he gets a silver every month or something.
And yeah, you're right. He most likely stole it, Dylan. As soon as he was done with his prayers, John jogged to the stables and saddled a horse for his journey. He packed his sack of supplies and his gold in his saddlebags, tied the bear fur on the back of the saddle, and led the horse out and towards the hunter's gate. He knew this was the less guarded gate, and he knew how to distract the guards.
Isn't that stealing a horse? That was a
Yep.
serious crime back in the day.
He stole a horse, stole a saddle,
And a bag of gold.
and a bag of gold, and a bunch of food. I mean,
This is executionable, isn't it?
yeah, this is definitely like chop his hand off or put his head on a pike or send him to the wall. He knew this was the less guarded gate, and he knew how to distract the guards. With the kennels being close by, John rattled the hounds up by banging on the bars, and he led his horse down the side of the maester's turret and hid in the shadows. Yeah, give me a second here. Okay, I need to take a breath. As the guard on duty, who happened to be Todd, who he had broken the nose of earlier. God damn it, Todd. Walked towards the kennels to see what the commotion was about. John mounted his horse and bolted out of the gate before Todd knew what had even happened. Yeah, screw Todd. He didn't pay attention to anything. That's why he got his nose punched and broken. Fucking Todd.
You'll probably get sent to the war for incompetence.
Pretty much. John must have galloped towards the woods for 5 straight minutes before he realized he'd got out before anyone had seen him. The lack of bells ringing being a giveaway, he made one last look at the only home he knew, the home he had outgrown, or had it outgrown him. Oh, it's so deep, guys. This is so deep. Like Ned, take ice to John's edgy neck. I think ice would break. John is so edgy that ice would actually break.
Yes. Also, Ned would never do that. He's too much enamored with John.
Yeah, pretty much. He loves John too much. If he survived his adventure, he might see it again, but he was kind of coming to terms with that this might be the last time he sees those gray walls. He knew he was gonna miss it. But it was mainly the occupants that resided there that he was gonna miss the most. It was also because of some of these occupants that he decided to take on this venture in the first place. Even though you wrote her letters, okay, he said some. But if it's some, it's probably just his dad and not dad, Ned Stark and his wife, not
Lady
Sansa.
Cuntlin.
Lady Cuntlin, the Thunder Cunt. With a deep breath to steel himself, he turned his horse towards the woods and began his journey into the unknown to a new beginning. Notes. Thanks again for the feedback on the previous chapter. Just a heads up, there will be more points of view other than Jon and Ned in the future, but as of right now, they're the two characters that are moving the story forward for me. So, what did you guys think of this? I'd like to, you can make sure to write the comments, but we'll read the comments of these normal people here. These very normal people. Into that secret dungeon, Jon goes, yep. Apparently they didn't give them enough feedback.
Well, we are going to read the feedback right now.
Like, this is what happens when people write bad stories and you have people who just will read anything and give it good feedback. Just
the problem is this isn't just a bad story. I mean, if it's just a bad story, people ignore it or you get like the usual flame or... But this is written well enough so people can trudge through it. So
I wouldn't. I mean, what am I saying? I am.
Yeah, but it's like a train wreck. You can't turn your eyes away after you've really taken it in.
It is really bad, but I will say it's pointing out all of these errors does actually help people get better at writing. Good chapter. As Jon goes on the west side, he could go through the rock. He knows Cersei. Sewing Bastards by Westeros, Uncle Brandon style, Bobby B. Bobby B? Oh, Robert Baratheon.
Yeah.
But why would he do this? And how does he know Cersei? Who are you?
They want a Jon X Cersei pairing. Because that makes sense in the story.
He on that west side is the For some reason, the update was very behind in the list to fix. Many will not realize the new chapter. Okay, he's okay, whatever. Like how Ned feels bad about the situation Jon is in, knowing damn well he selfishly put him in that situation despite the targs, despite having all the information. Now that Jon has run away, I wondered how that will go over. We see how Catelyn treats him, and clearly once it's revealed, Jon has gone missing and won't be returning. Ned realizes he's going to have to come clean. This is a person who is taking the story entirely seriously.
Also, Ned doesn't have to come clean. He can just say, "Oh, my bastard ran away. How tragic."
Yeah, like he doesn't actually have to come clean. That's the whole thing. It's weird. Like these conclusions, they encourage this author. Well, I'm not gonna call him author. He's a writer.
Same thing.
Not quite. Author usually means when you author a story.
Yeah,
Writer.
He did.
When you author a published story. It's a thing of acknowledgement.
For you.
For many authors, yes. You don't call yourself an author unless you're published. Whether self or... when you do something original.
Fine.
Sensitive positions, okay, blah, blah. Young Ned and older Ned are idiots, laughing my ass off. I don't expect to feel bad for Ned, but I can't wait until this all blows up in his face. He really did bring it all on himself. I hope the family doesn't suffer too much for it. Haha, Thunder Cunt, one of my favorite insults. Yep. You really captured the behavior of a teen hitting puberty. I remember myself at 14 being mouthed and not taking shit from anyone. I don't remember that of myself.
Well,
Awesome
but
chapter.
I do remember teenagers who were like that. So
Some were.
yeah. So actually, this point is actually a point in favor for this writer. He did capture the essence of an edgy teenager.
If that's his aim, sure, but he also does the thing where he tries to make John humble, and you can't really do both.
True.
Recently started the story. I like it a lot, but use modern phrases, of course, that take me out of the story. I know. Hi, what's up? What on earth are just some of the few? I'm not sure if this was corrected in future chapters or something to be mindful about. Also, commas are being used to buy one, get one off sale. More is less. Sometimes you're better off starting another sentence. He is right. I do love that story. Oh, okay, never mind.
I love a John with zero fucks given.
Yeah, he definitely is not giving any fucks. Especially to the maids that blush at him every time he looks in their way.
Well, no one does anything about what he's doing. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the books he would have been slapped left and right.
Oh yeah, it would. This is awesome. So intriguing, and I'm fully in. My only thing to say is I really hope Want John Danny is appearing. I see them, him, Raina Stu, and I like that. Hopefully not too much of a slow burn. I mean, how could they resist this badass motherfucker John? No, his mom's dead. Alright? Let's not talk about this. Drama, angst, and jealousy will be involved along with fluff and smut. I'm confident you'll be happy with the outcome. Regarding the slow burn, maybe I should put it in the tag since the eventual relationship is a few chapters away still. Glad you're enjoying it anyhow. How would I be enjoying this? In terms of like, it's not that like how we're enjoying it. Like we're just this is so bad that it makes us laugh. It's more that they actually are looking forward to how the story is continuing. They feel the tension in the story, the non-existent tension. They feel that.
Well, I have to disagree with you. There's some tension there. I mean, like I mentioned, something about how Ned's secret will eventually be revealed, what John will find on his journey, stuff like that. But yes.
It's hard to feel it when he says things like "What's up." Yes, and all the guy missed was the voice cracks in terms of the depicting teenagers. But to be fair, he's writing John as a full-grown adult at 14 years of age.
That's true.
Not so much the swearing that gets me, but the amount of edge and badass John. Just too much and reads like a power fantasy and not a good one. Yep. I really like this John. He is different, but feels just as possible as Ken and John. Just as possible as Ken and John.
Sure. In some weird parallel universe.
Don't worry, you'll hear more about this, Dazzler. But he is just as possible. I can see your story and it has a lot going for it. It really doesn't. But you switch tense back and forth mid-paragraph. It's rather jarring to continually supplement the correct word if you don't have a beta. You would really benefit. Okay, this dude shouldn't write a review if he doesn't actually know how to write. It serves Ned right to be afraid of John's reaction at this point. He could very well attack Ned physically for such an extreme lie. Young and hot-blooded isn't the best combination. And he'd win too because he's just as tall and just as muscled. I mean, hell, he could defeat 3 guards at the same time and then fight a bear in the aftermath.
Yeah, Ned has no chance.
With ease. Yeah, Ned doesn't stand a chance. He's nothing. Brilliant. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Yeah. Same thing. Same here, bud. The general aspects of the story seem interesting, but I just can't get past the dialogue. What's up? Shorter fuse? A shame. Yep. Honestly tried to read this. I got through the first chapter after the whole Ned issue, but John using terms like thundercunt? Ridiculous.
That's the best part. What are you talking about?
Lady Cuntlin the Thundercunt. Cuntlin? There you go. Lady Cuntlin. Where was this? Lady Thundercunt came while thundering towards him. Oh man, that was great. So we're not gonna keep going here. We're gonna end it here.
Yep.
Next week, 1 p.m. Eastern time, we will be reading chapter 3 and
Of-
maybe chapter 4
Of the Rising Sun.
of the Rising Sun. Because he's a sun and he's rising and he's going west, where you'll understand when we see it.
Yes. There's a pun waiting for you there.
I wonder how this person can write, and yet I could struggle with trying not to over-explain with settings. Yeah. This dude doesn't care about over-explaining. He's fine with it, completely fine. And look, it has almost 500,000 people who have read it. Just think about that. Just consider that. Also, it made in 2018, updated last year. So he stopped. But it'll be fun. It's 35 chapters.
Also, it completely dropped. I think there's nothing after this on his profile. So.
Oh, he completely stopped?
Yeah, look at it. At his profile, not at his summary page.
Where do you look at the profile? I don't really use this thing.
You click on the name, like in FANFICTION.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 30th of April. Yeah, this is all he has.
Kinda sad.
Yep. Anyway, so I'm gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna thank you all for coming.
All
I'm
right.
gonna commit the cardinal sin of saying like and subscribe. I couldn't even say it.
You gonna?
I'm gonna tell you to like and subscribe. You hit that bell icon, smash that like button. All the
And see
cringiest
you.
things you've ever heard. I'm gonna say them.
Yep. And see
And
you
see
next
you
time.
later. Next week.